Oh yeah, we on the rock and roll, as you know. We go for the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks on the road, truckers, firefighters, all those involved in the production, distribution of food, and that's what we're gonna rock and roll for the truckers, firefighters, plumbers, electricians, and we're gonna take a little bit of this here. Oh, nice. Somebody made donations. I'm gonna take some bread, I guess. So grateful for the bread. I'm gonna put it to good use and take some bread with that. And gotta get it on the go. Let's go for the firefighters. Thank you for the donation. This is really good, and you got another option there. So I'm just gonna take the bread because bread I can eat. So I'm gonna put it, stack it in the backpack as we go over time. Every time, grateful, thankful. My rent's paid, electricity bill's paid, and I left some bread for others. But these are really breads which I really like, and I guess they're past due. April, best before April 20th. Yeah, it's April 24th, April 21st, so they have to be eaten, I guess. So I guess today I'm gonna be eating a lot of bread today, you know, as we go for the go. And that's what we're gonna get doing on the drill side of things. And yeah, I always like to exercise and fitness for the firefighters, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, all those involved in the production, distribution of food. I'm just gonna stop here. I don't want to stop there because there was a, you know, I just want to let the fridge open in case somebody else comes, but the fridge was full of bread there, community fridge. So this march is especially dedicated to my anonymous friend and to an anonymous great YouTuber, netizen, fellow citizen of the internet from the Midwest specifically, and to all my North American brothers and sisters, Canadians, USA, because we got a fuse on that Dragon Kingdom. My private public PPP call to all willingly loving to support the initiatives while admiring some beautiful flowers here in the neighborhood as we're gonna go roundabout, and we're gonna go a little bit like a snake in a zigzag. We're gonna head to the river this time because it's been a while since we haven't gone into the river, although if there is rain I will have to do a little bit of pause. So I'm gonna put this bread in the backpack right there at the corner. I'm gonna take a right and then gonna take a left here. Grateful, thankful, my rent paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee, and rock and roll for the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, firefighters, truckers. And this is gonna be an overtime workout exercising. I left at noon, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. And always gonna check a little bit of that good bread on the go. So ASPE artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical, theoretical analyst, and theorist who's got that paid rent for the month of April. So here we're gonna put it up, and see, we're just gonna put it here so we don't damage anything. There's the wood because here is gonna be placed in for the community growth, so they're gonna grow a little bit of something good there, something good on the growth side of things. And that's how we gotta get doing on the love, you know. So in which we gotta exercise, and super fitness, exercising 24/7, and it is my special interest, parallel with geopolitics, fitness, and sports. And I got those red gloves in the backpack by which I'm challenging Donald Trump still to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border to fight me, of course. It's ever since 2018. I'm not a Trump supporter. Granddaddy Trump did a mistake, and just please admit it. Say with Canadians, I did a mistake to invite them to become the 51 state by that in such a manner. And of course, my anonymous friend, I gotta thank, is about 6 years ago, almost seven years ago, gifted me these red gloves right after I commenced challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match. So it is a Dragon versus Trump special edition, and we're gonna rock and roll. Put the bread inside here. So thank you, farmers, for the wheat, and bakers. You know, it's baked in store, so it was 50% off. Good deal. I actually got it for free. There's bread. If you guys need some bread for food security, you go on Montclair, that street, at the right side. If they're still available, there should be some pitas. Pita bread I saw. Right on Montclair there, you turn left and you go the corner, there's a fridge. Community fridge. You're welcome. So I tell fellow citizens about the community fridge, you know, and I got the bread and got a little bit of onion rolls with that, and I told them about the community fridge, and we can go check it, and they can go rock and roll with that, and gotta go dealing on the that. So that's where we're gonna go put it. And this one I don't need it for now, but I took it as a backup, but gotta put it on the go, you know. So something which I gotta get doing with that. And That's how we gotta get. So. There we go. So happy, content. I'm just gonna go. My backpack now is about 44 pounds maybe. So now we can go on the drill, and I gotta check those yellow flowers. You know me, I have a little bit of a flower fetish for yellow flowers, and these are gonna blossom here, the beautiful yellow. So well, I just love yellow flowers. As you can see, hundreds of my videos from years and years and years in the past that I always take an extra second to to gaze, I guess, on the flowers. So I'm hoping the sun will start clearing the sky and getting a little bit of sun. So here we are on the steel toe boots, auctioning them for a minute. And my old steel toe boots, they're still worn out, and I worn them for about 3 years and a half, about 45 months, almost 45 months, since COVID. And I marched more than the generals of NATO during COVID with those boots, and I'm auctioning them for $1 million. Gonna give half, 50% to my anonymous friend. And I want to dedicate this one also specifically not just to the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, firefighters, plumbers, electricians, and grocery store clerks, and warehouse workers, and bus drivers, and plumbers, and you know, those in the cafeterias of the high schools, the high schools. We gotta be mindful that my dream is fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership, but also, of course, to those cleaning some of the houses, cleaning some of those buildings, those who pick up the garbage, the compost every day on the field, you know, with the big garbage trucks and the collectors. Please, NHL, Habs lost yesterday, so it's 2-0, but it's not over till the first one gets to 4. So I think it's gonna be Habs are going to win the next one. They're going to lose. Then we're going to go with 3 in a row. Something like that. And this series is going to finish 4-3. We're going to go to match 7. And 7, we're going to win it in the 7th game. In the 7th. The series. But if not, I guess, because we're playing the best team. But please give some NHL, NFL, NBA, MLB. Please give a little bit of that charity. A little bit of that charity by providing tickets, of course, tickets to those who pick up the garbage, the public workers, the collectors of the public, and the garbage, the recycling, the compost, and all those involved, you know, in the distribution and the collection. Actually, it's the collection, but not the distribution, but the distribution of the beans and the cleaning, you know, the distribution of the work tasks and what have you. So there's a part of a distribution in it. So that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing on the go, you know. So it's something which we gotta get doing with that, you know. So that's how we gotta go heavens, and gotta get it on that drill, you know. So it's something which we gotta be, you know, to do it on the XYZ. And so we gotta get doing for the love side of things, and that's how we gotta get on that love side, you know. So by the way, for the anonymous commenter who showed some words of encouragement, I appreciated the words of encouragement, you know, online. He said, good for you, you're working out, staying mind, body, and fitness, and you know. So I said, yeah, thank you. And fellow citizen, I asked some questions. I'm gonna wait for a response, because I can't assume, you know, LGBTQ like me, by pansexual or not, or whatever have you. Sometimes we gotta meet in the middle, you know, as a centrist and the centrist. And sometimes, you know, my public-private partnership called the Dancing Goddess in the Dragon Kingdom is fundamentally pro-labor and love, universal, revolutionary, centrist affair and initiative for that center. And, you know, mostly a centrist, but my centrism is universal, revolutionary, but is North American collective centric, because my ideas, theories, protocols are most fundamentally for the North American collective. As much as I am a world peace advocate, fundamentally my theories, protocols are for the North American collective. And red, my favorite color, those red flowers, and the red is my favorite color. But in terms of flowers, I love yellow a lot. So I always get a little bit of joy when I see yellow flowers. And you know, I'm not a botanist, I don't know too much about it, but I'm always willing to learn. But geopolitics is my thing. So back to what I was saying, the fellow netizen, I think it's called no name calling, but it was one of my first comments. I guess it was a positive one. And encouraging me, and like his encouragement for my workouts and my videos that I'm doing. It's a rock and roll 24/7. So I'm gonna rock and roll. As my fellow netizen send me some LOVE, I guess, in terms of encouragement from the Midwest. From the Midwest. So I guess I can include that, fellow citizens, because I am for fusing Canada and United States, and not necessarily as a Trump proposition, because it's Granddaddy Trump and his dragon versus Trump, and I would have voted for Kamala on Biden, and I'm a Democratic Republican Democrat, you know. I was born in the USA 3 times post 76 and served in the United States Armed Forces 3 times. I've been twice to different wars, and 3 times I was born in the USA post 76. But once I was born a woman, you know, so my reincarnations, sometimes I was a man or woman, and you get that 50-50 tonight, today, 24/7. Rock and roll for the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, I guess. 24/7, like the 911 for the New Dragon 911 SSD principles, and for the security service and defense of the North American complex integration in a new complex for the SSD principles. My SSD principles are fundamentally for security service and defense, and based on the interjections and on the geopolitical realities of where we find ourselves now. And of course, my fellow citizen, brother or sister, I still got to find out, brother or sister, was from the Midwest, you know. Was from the Midwest. So from the Midwest, you got about 70 million population. 70 million population in the Midwest. And I'm actually going to say the states in the Midwest, what's considered the Midwest. And before 1984, before the census 1984, it was still called the Central North region. It had another name, and now it has the Midwest. So that has to be consequently how the names changed. But of course, there's still people alive who got it from there. There's still people alive who got it from there. But that's all we gotta get doing, you know, for the farmers, butchers, truckers on the road, and that's all we gotta get doing on that loving side. So here we are. So in the Midwest. So now I'm marching west. So I'm marching kind of towards the Midwest. But the Midwest would be there from Montreal, Hawk Island. It would be, well, it depends which state, right? Because the Midwest is big. So the Midwest comprises of 12 states. And I put there 12 over 63 because I'm calling for the 63 states, 13 of Canada, United States, for the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom. For the kingdom of the dragon, pledge your allegiance to our family, and to fuse via public, private, mass finance, of course, mass finance, whatever, the mass financing of the healthcare, and the building of the North American People's Imperial Coliseum. And you see 12 over 63 for the 63 legions. It mobilized 1% of the population mobilization, and to be integrated with existing all security, public and private security forces and organizations, and into a plateau for total SSD, security service and defense only. So 70 million people, and Canada and United States both is about 388 million, because the United States is about 41, and Canada's like 44 almost, so you got to add that up, almost 390 million. But the Midwest is 70 million people, so 70,000,000. So there's a lot of people. It's almost double the population of Canada, just the Midwest. The region comprises of 12 states: Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, Ohio, South Dakota, Wisconsin. So I'm gonna say them again. I'm gonna tell them again. So it's Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, Ohio, South Dakota, Wisconsin. So those are the 12. So I'm gonna say them one more time. Maybe in a different order, or should I say them from a, doesn't matter really, but so it's Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, Ohio, South Dakota, and Wisconsin. So those 12 states comprise what is today called the Midwest United States. So that region, because there's several regions, right? So that's how is divided for the census mostly, but also in a manner of how the division is for Eastern Canada, Northern Canada, Central, like the prairies. When we say the prairies, we know that it comprises Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Alberta, right? So that's first the prairies, or if we say If we say Canada, the maritime region, we know that it's maritime regions is of course the Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Labrador, and Prince Edward Island, the maritime region. So basically kind of something similar. And we got 10 provinces and 3 territories. So 10 provinces and 3 territories, that's 13 total. So 13 plus 50, that's 63. That's why I put 12 over 63 there in the total population, just to make like the ratio proportion. So my fellow brothers and sisters in the Midwest, and specifically to a fellow there somewhere with an IP address, thank you for the good comment. Don't know too much of the spiel in this life. It's geopolitics, rock and roll, fitness, and sports. But I do know that I'm gonna turn left here. So I do know my geopolitics, I do know my rock and roll and fitness and sports and dancing, and I gotta give a moment to take some salutation for the public workers. And you know, here I got a little bit 7 seconds, I got 6 seconds, 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, so plenty of time. And you know, it's voting season, we're gonna vote supposedly the weekend, but I gotta say that the king is absent. It's time for, you know, the king is absent. It's time for the Republic, and I gotta give a shout out for the public workers there. They're changing some aqueducts, sewers for us to have drink of potable water, and that's what we gotta go doing a little bit on the side, and we're gonna go hydrate, and then we're gonna go drill it all the way. Gonna go drill it all the way to the dancing of the season, and for them to do a little bit of dancing with that. And that's why we gotta go. Dancing is my favorite sport, so we gotta get it on the go with that, and gotta get it for the public workers, and we gotta get it for them because we gotta send some love, you know. Hear all the work that's being done now, we gotta get it, you know, it's thanks to them which they do all the labor. So you gotta appreciate, you know, that's what it is with that. But that's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get doing with XYZ, you know, to get that drill done on the go, get that drill done on the go, and you know, we gotta get that SSDs for the defense, security, and service, and that's how we gotta get that work, man. All this work being done, get that labor up, and go public works, go 24/7. Allez, travailleurs public. On allait, on go en français ici. We gotta get that French here. We got 9 million of Quebecers, myself included. I gotta do the defense for the French language also, because, you know, we gotta make that great compromises. We made it, you know, for the French language, and that's what we gotta get doing on the French language for the love, and that's what we gotta get doing on the love side of things, you know. So we gotta get on the love. And post Canada, they got some. See how my brain now works. Because geopolitics is my special interest, because I have Asperger's. Asperger's, again, is a neurological mental divergent condition. Now my brain focuses and switches to my topic of interest, of which I am an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, being that geopolitics is my special interest. And I put the post-Canada in a geopolitical context, as that it is open for potential sabotage where we are now. It's open for potential sabotage, and I'm gonna take the road towards that red, because I saw red, so I'm gonna switch it up, and that's what it is with that, and gotta get it on the love. So I love that red, man. Just love that. Gotta get that red side, and big red trucks here, my favorite color, and got a red head up, class 2017. Gotta get it on the go, and have some fun. Youth having some fun, that's important, you know. That's the most important. Have fun in security, man. Have fun in security, you know. Gotta get it on the go, and gotta get it on now, and gotta traverse the street prudently. Just gonna go on the side here, get it on the go with that, and get it for that love, man, you know. Something which we gotta do, and we gotta get it on the go crazy with it. So, you know, go a little bit of that and go crazy with that XYZ, man. And that's why we gotta go get it on the XYZ, and we gotta appreciate the things we have, and we gotta appreciate the things we gotta get doing on the love side of things, and we gotta get doing on the love of the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food, you know. That's all we gotta get doing, man. And it's hope, you know. It's hope, hope, hope. That's what we gotta get doing on the HOP side of things, to bet that love, and gotta get for those railway conductors, gotta get it for that B. And that's what we gotta get doing on the B. And I just think I saw Baltimore Ravens when my 49ers lost, and that's one of my favorite Super Bowls, the Hardball Bowl, aka Blackout Bowl. And I will to build together Canadians, United States, the biggest sports complex arena ever built, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum. The North American People's Imperial Coliseum, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum. That's my will to build that North American Imperial Coliseum, to be 11 times bigger than the Caesar Superdome. Caesar Superdome was used to be known as the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Mercedes-Benz. It was an arena, and now it's known as the Caesars, and they changed the name just like I changed my name. Took blood, sweat, and tears to turn that A into an O. Nobody's born a dragon. Motto of the Dragon Army, nobody's born a dragon. Motto of the Dragon Army, nobody's born a dragon. Nobody's born a dragon. Nobody's born a dragon. Nobody's born a dragon. Thank you for this water. Imagine all the work, labor, brains, and muscle to build the aqueduct. Brains and muscle, you know, public sanitation is something we take for granted, but you're putting it into a geopolitical meditation, as I have put when I saw the post-Canada truckers were open for potential sabotage and espionage, and we got to get that Dragon Army for SSD, security, service, and defense. And thank you, public workers, who built this. Gonna use it and hydrate, HYDRATE. Alrighty. Pardon, excuse me. So something here that I will to do really is I bring me the tools and the paint. I will to embellish. I volunteer. I really will to embellish all this. It's just so gray. I would love to see, and I think a lot of people would also love to see some color. Just not necessarily my favorite red, but some blue, like the jacket blue and red and green, red and blue, or even a rainbow, you know, with black and white. Not a problem for black and white and rainbow for sure. It's just so gray, and just bring me the tools, the permission, and the paint, and I'll paint. I mean, I'm not the best painter. My special areas is geopolitics, but just wish to paint some paint, you know. It's just so gray every time I pass, you know. I would appreciate it, the tunnel I meant, to be some color, you know. It's kind of embellishment, you know. We can even have a census to see what color would people enjoy to be the tunnel, you know. I would love it blue or red, but I don't know. I'm gonna wait for my fellow citizens, you know. Sometimes I get that eyes and I go straight towards the sun. Let's go. Oh yeah. I usually try to average 20 hours a week. 20 hours a week. So that's, oh yeah, sun is starting to clear the clouds. So that's what it is for me. I always like it when it's a bit sunny, and there's a lot of cleaning we need to do, you know, for the environment, the labeling, and you know, you got the explanation here, but it's in French. So what's happening is the public works for the conduits, the potable water conduits, you know, they're gonna get a little bit of that work, you know. So it's something which we gotta be doing like that. something which we gotta be doing on the XYZ there, you know, to get a little bit on that drill, you know, and get a little bit on the sun and turn left. And now I'm going south, so the Midwest is that way, southwest. Actually, it's west southwest because of the border, but in truth, we don't need the border. I think my protocols is best for. We got to focus on the ports and the airports best for security. We got to do a census, and we have to fuse and create a common passport, common currency. And we do have to finance healthcare when we do have to get 10% tax principle on the millionaires. Everybody who's a millionaire, 10% principle for the 63, 10% principle for the 63 states of the kingdom of the United. Because North is Canada is North and free, but we have to add some love to being North, true North, strong and free. Being strong and being free, I would not just want to be that. I want to get some of that LOVE. And you see the flag, and yes, I know more people are getting patriotic, and I'm no Trump supporter. I've been challenging Trump since 2018, but in terms of, you know, being a Canadian, I have the flag tatted on my right arm right here. I don't know, maybe decades and decades ago, I have it on the right arm right here. I showed it in past videos, and it's the maple leaf and with the word Canada, but spelled in the original language of native language, which kind of meant like a village, you know. I guess the village became a big country, and you know, I'm a Quebecer, Canadian, North America. This is my home, and that's how we gotta be doing for that. And we gotta get that Post Canada. As I see the truck of Post Canada, my brain now switches to putting it into a context of geopolitics, because see, such institutions and organizations as we have now, because we got involved in different wars, not just by providing humanitarian aid, but because we provided military aid to non-NORAD. NORAD is Canada United States Military Alliance, non-NORAD and non-NATO member countries. We made potential powerful enemies, of which the growing geopolitical alliance, geomilitary strategic alliance between China and Russia-China, which has solidified in the past 3.5 years. So I'm a geopolitical theoretical honest and serious. Geopolitics is all I know. Not all I know, but of course which we have, and of course which we're gonna get doing on that. So here I'm on the turning side, and gotta get it for that, and gotta get it for the love, you know. Something which we gotta do, and we gotta be interjecting, and we gotta be on that Brock Street. See, that's the Brock Street with that, you know. Gotta get it on that Brock Street. I'm not voting. I'm just looking there for the voting, and asked another one to vote, but I'm not gonna vote. I'm just gonna cross to see the flowers, and that's what we gotta get doing, you know. Oh yeah, beautiful white. And I know I seem a bit awkward, and I'm weird, and Asperger's, it can be a weird condition, you know, because a lot of people misunderstand what Asperger's is. So basically, Asperger's is a neurological mental divergent condition, makes me and many Aspies, our brains are composed different. So our brains are different. Thus, we look at the world in a different lens, and we have certain challenges, and our challenges mainly revolve around the fact that certain social communication, social skills, gotta get it on the social side of things, and beautiful birdies in that beautiful blue field of flowers. But of course, our communications and bodily movements can seem a bit strange, off, and weird. So also is we have a tendency to repeat words or phrases. And also echolale. Echolale is basically pronouncing using the same words. Somebody might say a sentence and a phrase or a paragraph, and we might repeat it. The sentence is not by it's just echolalia is a characteristics, because I don't like to use the word symptoms. Symptoms is for a mental illness, for an illness. Somebody has symptoms, as I survived COVID and had the COVID symptoms of cough, fever, and you know, shortness of breath, and all COVID when I had it, and I survived it back in 2020. That is, of course, COVID. That is COVID symptoms. But Asperger's is just a neurological mental divergent condition. So it makes whoppa. It's okay. No worries. Yeah, it's just if they're not poodles, I get allergic if I get too close. So except for poodles. So I love them from afar. Bye bye. So I love them from afar a bit. I can't pet them too much, depending on the fur length, as you know from my past videos, where you see where they get close, and sometimes I sneeze, and I get that at you, I get that at you. So, and I'm not severe allergies from what I know, depending, I guess, is I start sneezing and then I move away from. Those have the length and the thickness of the fur. The thickness and the length makes me sneeze. It triggers allergic reaction, but except for poodles I can pet. So, but I don't think it's like deadly that I would have to go to the hospital. I think I just sneeze. But last time in one of my videos, you see I was on the mountain and he jumped, he kind of tried to kiss me or whatever, it got really close, and then you see I sneezed 5 times in a row, like achoo, 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 achoo. So that was pretty hardcore. A few seconds after, right after, like, So except for poodles, I guess, and maybe those dogs also, depending on the length and the fur, the thickness and the length. Poodles, I'm certain, because poodles are hypoallergenic. So allergies aside, loving me some yellow flowers. Back to Asperger's. So Asperger's is a neurological mental divergent condition which makes Aspies like myself predisposed to a certain routines and rigid. Sometimes the routines can be rigid, but I'm pretty flexible as long as I do geopolitical analysis daily, as long as I work out, train, exercise daily, as long as I rock and roll daily. But the problem is that many those activities, which can be super intense and focused and concentrated, which are known as special interests for people with Asperger's, also known as obsessive interest, but I do not use the terminology obsessive because it has a more negative tone and feel to it, because it's not really an obsession in the traditional sense of something that's an obsession. It's just a special interest. And think of it in terms of our brains having like a software, or our brains being like a program towards those special interests, which can dominate our whole activities, daily activities, right? For me, it's geopolitics. Sports, fitness, dancing is my favorite sport. Dancing is my favorite sport, but it's also rock and roll. But geopolitics, sometimes I spend hours and hours and hours a day. Even today, I was supposed to leave at 9:30 earlier to go for my march and workout. I said, okay, another hour of geopolitics. I did a load of laundry, so I'm gonna do one when I come back, and then I realized I did more. So it's just timing, also time management can interfere with other activities of the daily life, like whatever it is, So that's the problem, which can consequentially happen. Interference in other activities. But geopolitics is, of course, my special interest. Somebody can be physics, somebody can be geography, somebody can be trains and transportation, such as that. Mine is geopolitics. And geopolitics is 24/7 for yours truly, and I take great pride in my geopolitical work as an independent geopolitical theoretical understand theorist. I have to state, of course, as I do state because it's important in my work that I do even now, that I have predicted what's happening now back in 2019. In October, November, I predicted consequently that there's going to be an international conflagration on the horizon. And so I created and produced, in consequence, a workout training program system to go hand in hand with such a scenario, a World War III scenario, back in 2019, in October, November. So I have proof of work because I have it documented and I have the video, and consequently, I created a workout training program system to go hand in hand with my conclusion that in the coming 7 years, well, that was October, November, so I said in the coming 7 years, starting from October, November 2019, so now we're in that timeline, 7 years, which of course began for me in 2019 in October, November, right? So now we're a few years in, but of course I began after my surviving COVID and after I got vaccinated, and last year I've been calling for the septennium, as I'm calling for a new commencement parallel to that 7 years, another 7 years for the septennium of the dream, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, which is fundamentally to implement my trinity of theories, the CIT citizen integration theory, the DRT debt fusion theory, and the democratic fusion theory, the DFT, democratic fusion theory, the DRT debt fusion theory, and the democratic fusion theory, death fusion theory, DRT, death fusion theory, DFT, democratic fusion theory, DRT, death fusion theory, and the CIT. And that trinity theory is to be implemented via LOV. So that's what I created, a workout training program system which requires no equipment. Of course, it's happening now geopolitically as I have predicted it in a general manner. Of course, not every detail, but in a general manner, that was my prediction based on deep, complex levels of geopolitical analysis and theories. That, of course, due to one of the fundamental factors in why my conclusion stated that it's the coming international conflagration, World War III, in the coming 7 years will begin, starting from October, November 2019. That due to the fact that many geopolitical states, geopolitical regions, civilizational complexes were not able to resolve their 20th century conflicts, mainly from the Cold War period. During the Cold War period, which lasted, what's that says in red there? Let me check. Maybe it's for some work. I'm gonna give them a call because I'm always open for business. So we are hiring. I can't see the numbers. Gotta go check my eyes again because I get it. I'm always open for business. I'm gonna give a call to see 514-887-5447, 514-581-6908. Because I need to get money to pay my $10,000 debt, and $10,000 debt, of course, to the Royal Bank of Canada, and I need to buy those first bricks for the Forgotten Goddess Temple, which I will to build the Forgotten Goddess Temple on the Canadian-US border, or somewhere in Montreal, and the Forgotten Goddess Temple, and the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, and the House Pyramid, Scarlet, Crimson, Scarlet. Crimson or Scarlet are basically shades of red, and the Forgotten Goddess Temple, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, the Pyramid House of the Dragon, and the Rainbow People's Palace for my fellow LGBTQ community and neurodivergent community. We're getting on that drill, and the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, firefighters, LOV, gonna send some love to the train conductors, see how my brain works. Since geopolitics is my special interest, now I meditate on the fact that the trains carry all across the North American collective all the goods, the transportation which they carry, the goods, the services, the goods that they carry. Some of them are national security sensitive to our national security, and my brain now meditates and puts that fact into the context of the geopolitical analysis, because I got to be let known and aware of everything that's coming in and out of the North American collective of Canada, United States, via the ports and the airports. I got to know to make assessment, everything, and total surveillance and security for total regeneration and liberty. Total security and surveillance for total regeneration and liberty. Securing total surveillance, total surveillance and security for total rebirth and regeneration, and ensuring of freedom. So yours truly, here it is, stretching a bit. I gotta say, I love a little bit of that blue and yellow, and wow, that's kind of cool. I like that truck, kind of nice. Sometimes I like multicolor. Red is my favorite, but I also like the multicolors, colorful things. I like colorful things and bright colors put together. So to give you an example of how my brain works, so Asperger's, again, most of my mental capacities and energies are split into that trinity most of the time. Let's say 93% are dedicated to the trinity, so that's 31 and 31%. Of all my mental faculties, energies, my thoughts are also always towards geopolitics, study, analysis, and theorizing, sports and fitness, or dancing being my favorite sport, but love gridiron, love hockey, love all sports and fitness activities, and rock and roll. So I rock and roll for the truckers going east, going west, going north, all across the North America, north and south, that way to Canada. So I rock and roll. You see hundreds of videos of freestyle rock and roll as I just did now. But in the context of geopolitics, my brain meditates on potential sabotage, espionage, and also how we're open even to have critical transportation, because some carry bread and bacon and butter and cheese and eggs across North America, right? So that is essential. I mean, food, right? Food, and the highways, the food and the gas and the food transportation. So these are vital elements for our, what I call the North American civilizational complex, because I am a philosopher as well as an artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical, theoretical, analyst, and theorist, and mystic. I graduated high school. I studied myself online. I have a high school diploma, but I didn't go to have a university. I guess I spent many years struggling with depression and coming out of depression, one foot in the streets, one foot in the libraries, with one foot in the streets, one foot in the libraries, with one foot in the streets, one foot in the libraries. And I've written tens of thousands of pages of documents of geopolitical theoretical analysis, which are mostly dictated in an oral manner in my YouTube marches as I do now. And of course, consequently putting all the forces and all the applications of what I am as an Aspie, I'll put on the table, not an Asperger's. Asperger's, being an Aspie, again, is not a mental illness. It's just a neurological mental divergent condition. It makes me predisposed to these special interests, of which preoccupy my daily life, and things such as, for example, personal space. So many Aspies, we have a tendency to breach personal space. It's not that we intend to breach it by volition, but it's just because our brains are different. So an Aspie might get to 2-3 inches, so close to you, whoever you are, but for years I've been working on that. Even now, sometimes I have to take a step back, because these things, for some reason, they're hard to process for us to do, and how, when to speak, when not to speak, and things like that, things of the social nature. So breaching personal space, so approaching a citizen to the point that you're so close to 2 inches, breaching personal space. Some people might feel intimidated, some people might feel fear, might feel threatened, and I don't like violence. I don't like violence. I don't like violence myself. I do not like violence at all. How many books are there? These has to be recycled, Has to be recycled. I don't like violence, but I am hyper vigilant, because I lived being attacked by surprise a few years ago, several times, and with one specific one, hardcore one, I fell, hit my head, and had a dislocated right arm. So went to the hospital, was replaced with a Jewish general, and fell, hit my head. The Jewish general gave doctor some medication, and I was for a few days I was in a coma in my old place. And if you ask me what I did and memories of high school and all that, their blackouts is retrograde amnesia, retrograde amnesia. His memories are blackouts, is just don't remember. I have plenty of scars on my body, and my memories blackouts. I remember mostly the past 7, 8, 9, 10 years. 11 I can go, but then more than 11, it's 2014. Before that, there's a blackout. Is that a lion on the side? Is that a lion? Looks like a lion. Looks like a lion, maybe. So blackouts, retrograde amnesia, But sometimes the memory comes back, either with trauma, but memory loss can be caused, retrograde amnesia. Memory loss can be caused by trauma, prolonged illness and sickness, which kind of I was, because I was living in a moldy place, black mold, whitish mold, and green mold, and reddish mold. And I lived on the ground in a moldy place. And I got attacked by surprise, and and then I survived it. And then I came out of being depressed. And in 2017, when I crossed Canada coast to coast, before that I was depressed, I was suicidal. And crossing Canada coast to coast really made me establish a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians. And have established a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians. And of course, there are my family, Quebecers, Canadians, North Americans, and that's what we're gonna go do it with that. So that is something which I gotta be meditating on and trying to read that. I think there's the word lion, Lion, lion. I gotta say, some people have talent in writings. If I can say that, we can dedicate some space for graffiti artists, not scribbling, but graffiti art, to be properly channeled. The the impulses such as aggression and all that. Like I said, I don't like violence, man. I'm hyper vigilant, you know. So I played that dedie, defense, left, right, stiff arm, and that's it, that's all, you know. Played that defense, financially stressed, broke, but I played that D. Played that D. So that's basically how it is with me, you know. So it's something which we gotta be mindful of. That the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the farmers, the firefighters, truckers, plumbers, electricians, grocery store clerks, warehouse workers, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, firefighters, grocery store clerks, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, firefighters, grocery store clerks, firefighters, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks. You gotta send them some of that LOVE, you know, and that's how we gotta be doing, man. We gotta be doing with that love, you know. Sometimes that's what we gotta be doing. Gotta be doing on that love side of things, you know. So it's something which we gotta be on the love, you know, because we got those yellow flowers, and that makes me joyous, and you know, I meditate now about the daycare workers changing some diapers, the truckers, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the firefighters, plumbers, electricians, IT workers, and all in service, and you know, armed forces. And somebody got to sing a little bit of that rock and roll for the 5-0 that police, 5-0 that police, 5-0 that police. Ain't nobody perfect. That includes me, you. We got to work on racism. We got to work, you know, on fellow neurodivergence also too, you know, because I am different, and I am in certain things I was and am, I guess. I don't know if forever will be, but in certain things I'm vulnerable myself, and rather we admit certain things and then work on them, because sun's shining, you know. Maybe he sees us all. Maybe he sees, you know, he, she, because in some spiritual mythologies, the eye of Ra was a feminine force. The eye of Ra was a feminine force, and the eye of Ra, the daughter, was a feminine force. So Maat, is fit. Horset. So yeah, you know, we might have internally subconscious. So that's why my fellow brothers and sisters who are blacks, 44.9% of 44.9 million, 13.4% of Canada, United States are my brothers and sisters who are blacks. I gotta include you also in my marches. We gotta get that dragon army for my brothers and sisters who are blacks also, who are black also, you know. It's black, white, black. In between a little bit of each. Nobody's born a dragon, not even myself. Some of my dragons are black. Some of my dragons are white. Some of my dragons are black, white. Some of my dragons are rainbow. You know, that's just how it goes. You gotta be living for 7 years plus in Canada or US to be eligible. Have to be lived, or since COVID, February, March 20, let's say March 2020. So as you see the mountain there, you see the mountain there, you see the mountain. That's my second home. That's my second home there. That's where we are most of the time. My second home, Mount Royal, and it can be seen afar off, or even outside the island, kilometers and miles. And I haven't been outside the island for, I think it's close to more than 5 years. Since February 2020, for sure, I haven't been. Since COVID, since I had COVID in February 2020. So it's been more than 5 years since I didn't leave the island, the Montreal, Hawk Island. I think once during COVID I went with my anonymous friend, but that was up north, Laval up north. So that is the mountain, Mount Royal, the three-peak mountain system, and you know, that's how we're gonna get doing. So like I said, sometimes I'd rather be offering to my brothers and sisters who are blacks kisses and hugs, and play some sports, dance and love together, and money I don't have to finance, but I would definitely I would not have reservations to give charity to my brothers and sisters who are blacks. We're black, and that's it, that's all rock and roll. So, you know, that's how Aspies we are actually. Aspies, we're a lot of confusion with people neurodivergent like myself, and I'm part of a tiny community, eh? It's less than 1%, less than half of a percent. It's 0.44. 0.44. So not even half of a percentile, not even 1% have this neurological mental divergent condition known as Asperger's. Being an Aspie is very few. And the problem is that my community faces a high unemployment rate, a very high unemployment rate, because we have jobs, we get jobs, but the problem is keeping the jobs, because there's a lot of misunderstanding and misconfusion of what Asperger's is, because it's not a mental illness which you can catch, so it's not transmissible. Our brains are different, so it's just a variance in the brain that makes us look at the world in different ways. And that's it, that's all. Well, that needs cleaning, and needs a lot of cleaning there, cleaning for the environment. And yes, in certain things I am vulnerable. In certain things, many people are vulnerable today, tough times, and that's the thing. In geopolitics, I've been thinking about it, because let's say, for example, sexuality. I've been in the open for more than 7 years now, being part of the LGBTQ community, and androgynous pansexual 50-50, androgynous pansexual 50-50, androgynous pansexual 50-50. But of course, more and more LGBTQ over the years, especially in different generations. It's about the millennial generation. I think Canada is 4.4% who are gay, bisexual, or lesbian, or pansexual like myself. Pansexual means that you're gay, you engage in gay sexual activities or gay love, homosexual sex, straight sex, homosexual sex, and all that. So that's pansexual, because some gays are just homosexuals, but a pansexual like myself, meaning that we're also sexually we engage in consent. Obviously, I'm speaking about adult, like 18 plus, not, I'm speaking about adult sexuality here with consent, obviously, but that's what my being pansexual like myself is. So I do love with homosexuals, with straight, with black, white, men, women, and that's pansexual, and I think that kind of sums it up and explains it. But besides that, I was thinking that, imagine somebody's in the closet of our politicians. I've been thinking about, hey, Granddaddy Trump, bi-curious a little bit, explored a little bit in the 80s, in the 90s, some tapes around. Me, I got a tiny little scar clit, dick clit, 50-50 androgynous. So sometimes I've been healing a lot in the past 3.5 years, and I do have scars on my body, and I love that red, but literally I have a scar on my genitalia. It's like a scar that has, psoriasis or eczema that causes itchiness. And so I get itchy down there. I've been applying a cream, but it's gotta try something else, I guess. So I just gotta be careful not to scratch into public, because I got a technique. I just move from side to side, and it kind of helps with the itchiness, because it gets itchy, so I gotta scratch, so I've been discussing it, open about it, and I'm open about it, and it's not a problem with that for me. But I'm just thinking, because I'm an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, and it's geopolitics 24/7. Let's say my prime minister here in Quebec, here in Quebec, my uncle Legault, let's say he would have something, I don't know, being urinated on, or golden showers or whatever, and to not be able to be blackmailed, blackmailed by foreign actors outside of North America, with ties to the underworld, for example, ties to the underworld. So as a geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, these are possibilities, which I explore on a daily basis, and I've written some papers specifically to that geopolitical potential reality, because geopolitics, war is a main topic of geopolitics, but it's also trade war, economic war. I guess war can be split into many things, but me being an Aspie, certain things I know geopolitics, but certain things I'm not that apt at. I'm not that good. I'm mediocre, average, and so. So that's where sometimes problems can come for myself. But as a geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, all these things I gotta analyze and theorize on a daily basis. You know, it's an open question mark. You see? And then you create certain problems. You know, if potential enemies, geopolitical enemies, you know, in diplomacy or espionage or sabotage. So, because we have, you know, democracy and freedom, and there are new things under the sun. Solomon, King Solomon. So we got to be aware of those things. So in geopolitics is something which we got to be aware. You know, like think about that. Okay, so me, you know, you can't blackmail me in such a way. You know, I don't mind, like, I discuss my sexuality and consenting adults and pansexuality and being androgynous, and that's also who I am. You know, there's the mountain. There's the mountain. Second home. My second home. That's miles and miles and miles and kilometers away though. The mountain Mount Royal, the three-peak mountain system, Mount Royal proper, and Ultramar. I'm glad the sun started shining, and I'm gonna get back on that sun, and I'm gonna go by the side here because I want to go by the. Oh, this is kind of steep, so I'm gonna have to bend my knees doing military style. Let's go. Turn my head left and right, and then proceed to do a little bit of that working on the side. So there it is, the mountain Mount Royal. So it's something which we gotta be doing on the love side of things, you know. As I go south now, south of the Midwest is there. So again, thank you for the comments, my fellow citizen in the Midwest of the North American Collective. And you know, as I say, if there was ever an invasion from the east or from the west, from China or from Russia or any other forces combined in the US, I would see it on TV, breaking news, I would call the embassy. You got some trucks I can go, you got some in Rome, and I'm gonna go right away, defend. And my brothers and sisters in the 50, my brothers and sisters in the 50, my brothers and sisters in the 50, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, you know. Because we got each other, and we got to get that SSD principles, and we got to get the Dragon Army and public-private partnership cooperative institution and the DGA to get for defense security services or SSD principle, the Dragon Army to be constituted this 21st century institution integrated with all existing organizations and institutions to be, of course, for SSD, security service and defense, and integrated with all telecommunications corporations, telecom giants, corporations, public and private partnership is all I do. My dream, pledge of allegiance is fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership across the collective North American civilizational complex, and we need to build new 5G and 3G, 5G and 6, 5G and 6, 5G and 6G, 5G and 6G, new ones, Dragon Army based public-private partnership, because Canada, United States join, we got to get rid of the border and create a common passport, common currency, the UE, and implement my DRT, debt refusion theory, because it's the only solution which we got to be doing on the go. And see my fellow citizen doing some delivery of the food, and go, love your delivery workers. Gotta send some LOV to them, and gotta be on that meditation side of things, and we gotta get loving on that, and gotta get on that love. And I'm so happy actually that the sun started shining. I was concerned I wasn't gonna get any sun, and gotta get it for that sunshine, and that's why we gotta go get it for now. And see the black fertile earth there, got a little bit of that love in it. Wow. And the flowers, and I love that green. Put some red on it, but nonetheless. Anyways, we gotta go. Gotta go for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, the grocery store clerks, and you know, those cashier workers. And see how as P brains work now, I'm focusing on what is the numbers and the classification of that being number 42, the classification of that being number 42. Number 42. Number 42. Unit GS. Okay, I might kind of see a bit, whatever the case may be. And on the other side is 44 on the other side. Or 45? Nah, it's a 4. Almost 45. Whatever, I'm not sure. What I'm sure is that I'm gonna go check. Here they got a stop. See, that's called a stop sign. And I really want to see what that beauty is. Kind of nice. Oh yeah, beautiful. Got some beauty. What? Can-Am. BRP. Hey, it's really nice. I love a red one. Sea to sky. It's called Spider. It's a Spider. Nice. BRP. I gotta check where it's manufactured. And now with the trade tariffs, I'm just, I'm always curious about new things, to learn new things as much as I can put and interject that's into geopolitics of today, because the trade war is a major geopolitical event, and the so-called Liberation Day is a turn of events in the whole geopolitical world, because trade and business and commerce, international, binational even, and multinational and geo-regional and civilizational, is part of geopolitics, So trade wars, I did an analysis, it's on a daily basis, analyzing the geopolitics and, the stock market and the confidence and the dropping down by a lot and then coming back up. And yesterday the new geopolitical news in relations to the tariffs was that supposedly he's willing, maybe not yet confirmed, to slash the tariffs in half. The tariffs are specifically on China. So I did discuss before China and the geopolitical realities of the rise of China in the 21st century, and the fact that, as much as I can say and state, if you want to have a discussion about China, you have to read a bit of the governance of China, which are major volumes which discuss, of course, the theory, the practice of the ideologies and the philosophies of the current government of Xi Jinping, the paramount leader of China, and their building of their socialist spiritual civilization. Now again, I said that the translation in English, spiritual, socialist, and spiritual for me is a bit rock and roll. Hail the sun, my Pope, the King, bury me with Papa Crowley, a third of me in New Jersey, a third of me up in Mount Royal, a third of me up in the city of the pyramids. That's a bit that rock and roll spirituality, rainbow dragon rock and roll spirituality. Give me some bacon, give me some cheese, give me some rock and roll, some massages, some feet washing, and so many things I don't know. That Book of the Law 93 code, but other things I don't know. But because I have mysteries, I say goddess also, and I will to build, the forgotten goddess Geodidiosis, a mega temple, because I think there's a lot of god temples and places of where God is celebrated, and I will to celebrate a little bit of that goddess, goddess Geodidiosis, a little bit of that goddess, Geodidiosis, and also. So I credit my surviving COVID to the goddess, but nonetheless, so many things I don't know. But I know today is the 20. I think today's the 20. Wait. 24th, wow. 24th of April already. 24th? I believe so. Yeah, confirmed. 24th today of April as I'm going to the river. That's what it's gonna be with that, and that's what it's gonna be on that XYZ, and that's how we're gonna go get some of that loving, man. So we're gonna go get it for the butcher's bakers. That's the doctor. That's how we're gonna go get it for those who get a plantations here. Gonna plant some new flowers or some planting of some. In French, it's plantation. Plantation des choses. That's like on the mountain you see it's called plantation, but in English it's plant. So it's kind of similar, the word, Both comes from the Latin, I guess. Plantatio from the Latin. I'm not gonna go into the whole etymology of the word, but suffice it to say that back to China, that if you want to have a conversation about geopolitical conversation about China and you don't know a little bit about the volumes known as the governance of China, well, you'll have to get acquainted and then get back to me, because we're going to be at an impasse in discussing China, because that's what they're purportedly the summum bonum, the summary of the whole thousands of pages of philosophies, ideologies, and protocols and programs is laid in the 4 volumes, Governments of China, which the 5th one is coming, which has started in the past 12 years, since 2012, when Xi Jinping, the current leader, took power at the helm of the People's Republic of China and of the Communist Party of China. And you can see the mountain, the headquarters of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom for the North American Collective, miles and kilometers away. You can see the far off, but nonetheless, you have to get acquainted with the governance of China. With the governance of China. So you have to get acquainted with it, because it's also available in audio format on YouTube, if you will. So if you don't know about it, I haven't learned, then because otherwise, if we engage in a conversation, we're gonna be at an impasse. It's just gonna be an impasse and an impasse. So we're gonna have to. So they're building the socialist spiritual civilization of China. The word can be not mistranslated, but the understanding of the word and the translation of the word from the Chinese, the Han Chinese, the Han Chinese, the Han Chinese might be different from our relationship to, or my as an individual with Asperger's relation to my daily spiritual rituals, which include sun salutations and howling at the moon, rock and roll howling at the moon, sun salutations and rock and roll howling at the moon, and rock and roll howling at the moon. But that's what it is with that, and so we're gonna get doing, That's what it is with that, and so we gotta get doing on the love side, So as much as they're doing on the I love cranes, Something that I love is I got a little bit of fetish for cranes. I always discuss it in my hundreds of videos. When I see a crane, you probably see that I change subjects and topics, and I go to cranes. And yes, cranes, they enabled us building the North American civilizational complex, and that's what it is with that, the North American civilizational complex with that, but that's what it is, So just that crane there, you can see, it's probably, I'm always wondering how tall it is, how it can go, the height and the weight of its more technical capabilities, and where was it built? Was it built in Quebec? Was it built in Canada? Was it built in North America? Something which I gotta say, in terms of where it was built. I always wonder how it was built, where it was built, how the technician, and if you're a crane operator, I gotta send you some love. Love me a crane operator, love me a crane operator. Love me a crane operator. So it of course enabled us to build. How many cranes across Quebec now? How many cranes across Montreal? Is a metropolis, 2.5 million people. But then of course, if I say how many cranes, then there's more questions, because it could be a general. How many cranes of then classification? I can classify them in small, medium, and large. So I can classify the cranes in small, large, medium. Right? So I can also break them in super small and super large. So 5. I already had extra details, and this is Asperger's for you. It's a little bit of details, and Asperger's, although some details I miss. When it comes to certain things which interest me, especially cranes, I always potentially wonder how many cranes, let's say all cranes, whether they're small, super small, mediums, or large, or of whatever quantity, how many cranes are across Montreal, the island of Montreal? I would say maybe more than 156. More than 156, or across Quebec or across Canada. If it's coast to coast, then it's different, because it's coast to coast, eh? If it's Canada, United States, then we're gonna get to a higher number in the tens of thousands, maybe tens of thousands. I'm not gonna say hundreds of thousands. I will say tens of thousands, and educated intellectual meditational guess would be, I'm gonna say maybe, I don't know, 156,333. I'm just giving them 156,333. 156,333. 156,333. 156,333. That's what it is with that, and that's what I gotta get doing on that. Go, man. Back to the geopolitics. I'm gonna discuss now. After I cross the street, I'm gonna wait a bit, and I'm gonna have to go into the discussion of the DRT, the DRT, debt refusion, the debt refusion team for the creation of the UE. It's super fundamental that I converse about it, that I discuss, and that's how we do it, you know. Gotta love that. And hey, look at that. That one's blue. It's very rare that's blue, like the jacket. It's blue. See? This one is blue. Not that many are blue. Just the point that one's blue. Wow. Hey, it's blue. C'est bleu. La poubelle est bleue, madame.
Oui.
C'est rare, j'ai jamais vu bleu comme ça.
Oui, je l'ai vu. Et ici, je l'ai vu ça aussi. Le métro, c'est pas trop loin.
Lequel, ma chère?
Métro.
Oui, vous avez un métro, là, en Grignon.
En Guyane, oui.
Oui.
Tu es capable d'aller à pied?
Oui, comme ça, je m'en vais par là, mais moi, je m'en vais vers la rivière. À la rivière.
Je n'ai pas vu l'autobus 106.
Ah oui, c'est par là. C'est par là, c'est en Grignon.
Ok. Mais je ne l'ai pas encore vu, non?
OK. Oh oui, c'est quand même 5-10 minutes, là.
Ah, ok,
c'est pas
pour
loin,
aller.
c'est pas loin. L'entraînement physique, un peu.
Parce que j'habite pas ici.
Ah non, quel coin?
J'habite Saint-Michel,
Saint-Michel, là.
dans les Nord.
Je connais, j'habitais à Côte-des-Neiges avant.
Ah, Côte-des-Neiges.
Fait qu'on j'étais quand même proche, mais j'ai déménagé à Notre-Dame.
Ah, ok. Tu travailles ici?
Je cherche de l'emploi en ce moment, j'attends, j'étais en vigueur avec être employé par Post Canada.
Ah, ok.
Mais j'ai passé l'entrevue, mais c'est beaucoup de protocoles de sécurité, il faut que je fasse des vérifications et tout. Fait que ça prend longtemps pour être employé chez Post Canada. Vous-même?
Non, moi je travaille pour GDI. La compagnie GDI.
Ah oui, je connais un peu. Je vais me tasser parce que le monsieur vient avec la bicyclette. OK. Ouais?
La compagnie GDI, centre-ville.
OK.
Et,
Comment ça va? Ça va bien?
oui, ça va bien, merci.
OK. Et ouais. Moi, malheureusement, vous savez, l'Asperger, c'est quoi?
Non,
Vous savez pas c'est quoi?
non.
Mon cerveau, il est différent. Fait que moi, je vis avec une condition qui s'appelle l'Asperger's.
Ok.
Fait que moi, mon cerveau, il est différent de la plupart des gens. Fait que j'ai certaines difficultés d'interaction sociale et je peux être bizarre et étrange. Donc, c'est toujours un encombrement à l'emploi. Vous comprenez?
Oui.
Parce que moi, je vis avec une routine quotidienne et des fois, je fais des choses, je sens les choses, je dis des choses, je répète des choses. Fait que vous savez pas c'est quoi l'Asperger's?
Non.
OK. Il n'y a pas beaucoup de gens qui savent c'est quoi. C'est rare.
Oui.
Donc, c'est une condition du cerveau.
Ok.
Fait que mon cerveau, il y a comme une mutation.
Ok.
Et donc, dans certaines choses, j'ai de la misère. Je ne comprends
Ok.
pas les choses. Il faut me le dire directement.
Ok.
Vous comprenez?
Ok.
Et j'ai tendance, des fois, à m'approcher proche des gens, la distance personnelle. Et les gens, ils pensent que... Ils savent pas que c'est intimidé. Fait qu'il faut toujours que je fasse du travail pour expliquer cette condition avec laquelle je vis.
Ok.
Fait que c'est... Ils cherchent du personnel chez vous?
Pardon? Personnel?
Ouais.
Je comprends pas qu'est-ce que tu dis.
Ils cherchent du personnel chez vous?
Ah, tu cherches du personnel?
Non, vous, votre compagnie, elle cherche des employés?
Ah, ok. Non, je ne sais pas, parce que la compagnie, c'est la salle, et les bureaux, c'est la salle.
OK.
Mais il envoie moi, je travaille centre-ville.
OK.
Il n'y a aucun centre-ville.
OK. J'ai travaillé... l'année passée, j'ai eu de l'emploi, mais ça n'a pas duré longtemps. Des fois, j'ai de l'emploi, mais j'ai payé mon loyer, là.
Ok.
J'ai de la nourriture, j'ai du pain, mais je suis en crise financière aussi, là.
Ok.
Et vous avez des enfants, de la famille?
Oui.
Ok.
J'ai 4 enfants.
4?
Oui, 4 enfants, plus un mari.
OK.
Il y a-
OK. Ah, OK.
Toi?
Ben, vous savez, moi, c'est parce que moi, j'aime les hommes aussi.
Ah, ok.
Fait que c'est différent.
Ok.
Moi, j'aime les femmes, j'aime les hommes. Fait que
Oh.
c'est différent dans mon cas, vous voyez. Fait que je fais partie de la communauté LGBTQ, c'est possible. Fait que si je me marie, ça serait un compromis. Si je me marie avec une femme, mais il faut qu'elle soit d'accord que
Mais
je fasse le sexe avec les autres.
J'aime pas, c'est pas bon pour aimer le 2 si aime un.
Non,
Si
mais
aime les filles plus les gars, non.
les deux.
Mais c'est pas bon.
Pour moi, c'est pas bon, c'est pas bon.
Mais
c'est bon pour moi.
Tu aimes les filles, tu aimes les gars.
Les deux, les deux. Noir, blanc, arc-en-ciel.
Ah.
Pas de problème, pas de problème. C'est bisexuel.
Ok, bye bye.
Ciao, ça fait plaisir. Attention à l'autobus. Gotta be careful with the bus, you know. So that was a little bit of French there. I'm gonna cross and she's there with the metro, you know. Yeah, with the metro and in the sun and, you know, gotta get it in the metro and there's that, gotta go for that love, you know, and gotta get it on the love side of things and gotta get it on the XYZ, man, you know. So that was a little French, and I helped basically she asked for some help with the metro, finding the metro. But see, again, I had to explain to her my Asperger's, which again is not a mental illness, and she kind of smiled, she kind of laughed. I give permission to laugh at me, you know, laugh, and that's what it is. And we got to laugh, and she asked me if I was married, so I say I'm pansexual, bisexual, so I like men and women, and black or white, and men and women, and if I ever get married, it's gonna be a person who who tolerates. I already proposed. I already proposed, you know, so that's what it is, you know. You love who you want, man. It's our law is love how thou wilt with consent, where thou wilt, how thou wilt, with whom thou wilt, you know. That's the law of Telema. That's the law of Telema. So if I get married, it's gonna have to be a compromise, I guess, between me living as a Telemite, and, you know, men, women, you consent, hygiene, and, you know, sure, I guess she's married and she has as long as, I guess, you don't start cursing and throwing holy water on me, you know, throwing holy water on me, that's not too nice, you know. Just here in Quebec, we have live and let live within a lot of different laws of the public comportment, and I don't like violence, and I'm pretty direct, and she was pretty understanding, and I helped her a little bit with the bus, and that's it. I guess that's it. That's all on that chapter. Love you, madame, and, you know, my fellow citizens, and started discussing because I was admiring the blue bins. I said, wow, this is blue, it's rare, the bin of the garden. So that's what we gotta get doing on the love, you know. That's what we gotta get doing, you know. And I gotta keep going, and I gotta keep loving, and whoever wants to make love with me, and now I gotta discuss the DRT, that refusion to you before I forget, and finish alles vergessen, go memory loss. On memory loss, I gotta say that memory loss is caused by either prolonged illness or trauma. Concussions can cause memory loss, but memory loss, retrograde amnesia, memory loss does not affect things such as linguistic capability, so you won't forget languages if you speak several languages. There's linguistics, so it's memories, but not language or mathematics. So mathematical skills, I'm just cross, you know, mathematical skills, I preserved. I don't remember high school. It was a while back, and I don't remember high school, and I said that's all. So I'm gonna go to the river. I'm gonna go get it on that and see what. Un bon travail de public. Salut, merci. C'est moi qui vous remercie. On vous apprécie, nous les travailleurs publics, ça rend la place plus propre. Salut. I said that I appreciate the public workers. Keep the city clean, you know, otherwise we get a lot of cleaning here done. And my favorite is the public, you know. It's the public, you know. It's the public and my fellow cousins and fellow auntie. I'm gonna call her auntie because these are my family here, you know, all who come to join us, Quebecers. And since 2017, I established a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians, a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians, a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians. And in 2017, when I crossed Canada coast to coast, that changed my whole life. Now, my whole life changed in 2017 for me. My whole life's changed in 2017. Before that, I was depressed. I was suicidal, and I had to get going on the workers, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, all involved in the production, distribution of food, and my cousin there, auntie, who gets a little bit of public work, man, and Rock&Roll for the DRT. LOVE, plumbers, butchers, electricians, on steel toes we go, and here we're gonna get that cadence, you know. Gonna get that cadence, be thirsty for it, gonna get some hydration, and I gotta love that blue here. Okay, so the DRT, debt refusion is super important, and I get into the point in discussing it now. Although I'm gonna try to hydrate again so that I pronounce the words in a more proper manner, because I guess hydration will help for me for the intonation, and is gonna be. But what I was saying at Asperger's again, I discussed a bit about what it is with I'm gonna call her auntie, you know, because black, white, or brown, you're my family, and I got your back here coast to coast, and all who come to join us. The water doesn't work, but it's gonna work soon when they open it, because it's still, you know, in the process of opening after the long winter. We're getting these days now going on to May, finishing that April, getting close to summer already. Not already, because it's still a few weeks of spring, eh? So at least 8 more weeks of spring, let's be honest. So 8 times 7, that's 42 plus 2 plus 40, almost 45 days of spring left. So a lot. Almost 45 days of spring left. So it's a lot. Almost 45 days of spring left. So it's a lot. So now I'm going to discuss the DRT, debt refusion theory. DRT, debt refusion theory. Just focus on that now. So debt refusion theory is my theory, and it is the only solution, or something very similar to my DRT theory is the only solution. So how come I'm making that statement in such a manner? The making of that statement is due to the fact that we paid last year 46.5 billion in interest. 46.5 billion in interest. 46.5 billion in interest. That is the amount of interest which we paid on the public debt. On the public debt. Public debt. Public debt. Yeah. Public debt. Public debt. That's the amount of interest we paid on the public debt, you know. That is the amount we paid on the public debt. On the public debt. On the public debt. 46.5 billion. Can you imagine that 46.5 billion is, a billion has 9 zeros. That's 46,000 million. A million has 6 zeros. Not a billion has, not 7, not 8. It's 9. A billion is 1,000 million. So that is the motive, the reason of me making that statement. That. What's that? Making that statement. Making that statement. So calculate it for 44 plus seconds, almost 45. You know? So the amount of 46.5 billion is huge, is enormous, It's enormous. Huge. Huge. So that is 46.5 billion is $46,500 million on interest only. The interest only on the public debt. Can you imagine that? Compute that number. Think about that. In 2020, 2021, the number was 20.3. 20.3 was the number. Of course, was the number in 2020, 21. And yes, due to COVID. And yes, I survived COVID. That's what it is with that. I survived COVID, you know. It was like death, pestilence, and disease for me, COVID, and that's what it is. And I survived COVID. It was like death, pestilence, and disease. Like death, pestilence, and disease. I know when I say it was like death, pestilence, and disease on my enemies, please put death, pestilence, and disease on my enemies, please. That's what we gotta get doing. But that's how I felt, basically. So I died in 2020, between February 2020 and March. I had COVID. I got triple vax, and I'm trying to keep, to the best of my abilities, the protocols. The protocols of COVID, I try to keep them as best as I can. Because I had COVID back in 2020. So what I meant to say and what I will say is that having survived COVID back in 2020, 2021, the number was 20.3 billion. That number double is 40.6. 40.6. That's the number double trouble. But of course, can you imagine that it more than doubled? And the main motive, the reason why it has doubled, is due to the fact, mainly not only, due to the coronavirus, aka COVID, of which my trinity on belief surrounding the origins of COVID has been, and will be this. First and foremost, I believe coronavirus was transmitted from snakes to human beings. Second, I don't know exactly. So third, I cannot rule out another possibility because I have a doubt. There's a doubt. Although last year, there was not too long ago, in November, December, there was the CIA who did a new public declaration that the most likely cause for the origins of the coronavirus stem from a virus, man-made, engineered, lab-engineered virus. I'm trying to see the patent number there. 6.466.140, 6.466.140, 6.466.140. That's the patent number. But okay, this is an ASPE thing, so forget about that. It's just ASPEs, we focus on details when certain people are gonna say, what the fuck? Because it's my question to the number 6.466.14. You got 3 6s, 2 4s, and 1 1 and 1 0. So breaking down that number, is that a number that just came out of that? Like, is it sequential basically? Is it that the patent number really came, and it came because of the sequence of the number, how the totality of the patent since the year XYZ, when there was the number 1 and then 2, and now we're up to 6 million something? Or that is specific for a specific coding, like in a procedural manner. So many things I don't know, in other words. So many things which I don't know. What I do know is geopolitics, and what I do know is that my DRT theory, debt refusion theory, DRT, debt refusion theory, is the solution, and that consequently there is no other real solution but something. Of course, it can resemble my solution can resemble my solution, the DRT, debt refusion theory, which integrates the monetary integration theory. In my theory is integrated monetary integration theory. So that has to be consequential, and of course has to be consequential and integrated and implemented, and has to be understood, so that's what it is with that. So now we're gonna go around about it here and gonna get that to go by the first street there, I guess, and then we're gonna go it for the, I guess this is the Douglas mental health. And again, Asperger's is not a mental illness, it is a neurological mental divergent condition, but unfortunately a lot of people, Aspies are misunderstood, and a lot of people are put into, because there's no medication for Asperger's. There's no medication for Asperger's. Cannot be treated in a medical manner. There's support levels, of which myself with certain activities, because I'm super focused, super concentrated, super intense in sports, fitness, geopolitics, and rock and roll, that sometimes I tend to neglect, just like many Aspies, other things of life. So I'm a low support level, but I haven't gotten really support. But although for my anonymous friend in the past years, I hope to get $1 million, $1 billion, $1 trillion, going to give half 50%. And I'm going to propose marriage again, I'm going to propose marriage again. Open BDSM, open marriage, just free marriage alliance, I guess. But that's what it is with that. So, but a lot of Aspies, of course, struggle with depression, because there's still a lot of misunderstanding and stigma. But our brains are different, just like I explained to my fellow auntie citizen there. So back to what I was saying, the DRT, before I digress, the debt refusion theory, paradoxically has come out of the curse of Asperger's, and being that I am cursed with Asperger's, in a way the blessing comes. Of course, that out of this curse comes the blessing, and the blessing is, yeah, I thought so. So this is the Karen Research Center. See the Douglas there? Oh, it's got the Douglas Institute. So the Douglas Institute there for the mental health, for people who, there's no medication. There's some people need it, but medication is something which some people need. But a lot of Aspies suffer from depression and suicidal tendencies, and depression are very high. Suicidal tendencies are very high for Aspies. Suicidal tendencies are very high for Aspies. So it's a very high rate, because a lot of Aspies suffer with employment or bullying and self-harm and all that, and myself included, So I live with this, but I present a blessing on the table. Paradoxically, the DRT, debt refusion theory, the debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE. So again, consequently, due to the fact that we pay 46.5 billion, 46.5 billion, 46.5 billion, 46.5 billion, 46.5 billion, 46.5 billion. That is 46,000 million. Consequently, mathematically, the number has more than doubled. So it went from 20.3 in 2021, from 20.3 double 40.6. Can you imagine 20.3 double? That's 40.6. It more than doubled in 3 years. And yes, due to COVID, and again, the coronavirus revision from the CIA statements, that is most likely that it was engineered in the lab. Now, I don't know for sure. I believe snakes, but I cannot rule out another possibility of the COVID origin, the coronavirus's origin. But what I do know for sure fundamentally is that before COVID, I created and produced a workout training program system, which requires no equipment, simple, effective, and I predicted the geopolitical situation which is unfolding and unraveling now back in 2019, and here we are. Consequently, the DRT, debt refusion theory, which includes monetary integration theory, is something which we have to pronounce and make ourselves on the go, and that's how we got to get doing with that, and so we got to get implementing the DRT, debt refusion theory, which includes monetary integration theory. And the sun shining, that's a good omen. That's my king, the Pope, the sun. So that's my spiritual rock and roll, bury me with Papa Crowley, and let's get doing with the DRT explanation. The DRT, debt refusion theory, integrates monetary integration theory. Again, due to the fact that we pay so much just in interest, calculate the parallel from the macro, which is the public interest which we pay on the public debt, with the micro level. So that the micro level of an individual citizen might pay, let's say, might have paid $156 in 2020, 2021. If that number more than doubles, because double 156 is 312. So if it goes from 156 to 333, if it goes from 156 to 333, that is more than double. That is more than double. That is more than double. So now to compute that is more than double, an individual citizen has to reduce the spending, unless the salary also more than doubles. In the past, since 2020, March 2020, in the past 5 years, the average salary increase has been of 4.4%. Now that is not very high. Now that's not a lot. There has been a labor movement, and cost of living increase has been making a lot of people lose their homes and mortgages and rents, and increasing homelessness and crime. And don't get me started. We gotta focus on solutions. As peas, we show love and compassion by action. Beautiful field here, blue. Wow, some yellows. It's like I like them yellow there. It's like I like them yellow. So anyways, that's what it is with that. So fundamentally, my DRT theory, my debt refusion theory best. My debt refusion theory best. My DRT best. So the DRT, the debt refusion theory for the creation of the universal exchange. The DRT, debt refusion theory. Debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE. So we're gonna take all the public and the private. So again, to make the interjection, as an individual has to cut and reduce the spending, you're gonna have to cut citizen XYZ. It's gonna have to cut and reduce the buying of milk, buying of cigarettes. I don't smoke cigarettes, but quitting smoking, quitting booze, quitting liquor, stop going out, whatever the case may be, So an individual has to reduce. That's just a mathematical principle. Financial mathematical principle, it's constant. So this doesn't change. This is always going to be the same, parallel to the micro and the micro and the macro. So that is always a constant. So from the micro to the macro, we make a jump that in the past more than 3 years, from 20.3 billion, it has jumped to 46.5, 20.3 double. 20.3 double, that's 40.6. 20.3 double, that's 40.6. 20.3 double, that's 40.6. So it has more than doubled to 46.5. 46.5. Look at those yellow in the corner. That is a staggering amount. The amount is just so big that a billion is 1,000 million. A billion has 9 zeros. The 46.5 billion in interest which we paid last year is 46.5 billion. So the principle applying the same for the public. We're gonna have to cut and reduce the spending, cut the budget. So what are we gonna cut and reduce? I ask. Carney, brothers, citizens. The king is absent, it's time for the republic. The king is absent, it's time for the republic. The king is absent, it's time for the republic. What are we gonna cut? What are we gonna cut? What are we gonna reduce? I ask my fellow citizens. We're gonna have to cut and reduce because our GDP, our economy did not double. It even went in the negative. Sometimes it increases 1%, 2%, 3%. It takes years and decades for an economy GDP to double. So we're gonna have to cut and reduce something, some spending. What is it that we're gonna cut and reduce? The armed forces, national defense, the sanitation, those who pick up the garbage, the compost, the recycling. I got 3 services in my neighborhood. 1 of them, 2 of them, or all 3 of them. The police, RCMP, the Mounties, of which I served before they were known as the Mounties, and not a long term, just 3.5 years, I think. In the past life, incarnations, sometimes was a man or woman. You get the DRT 50-50 now. That refusion too. We're gonna have to cut. What are we gonna cut? What are we gonna cut? Sanitation, the police, prisons. You realize that we're on the verge of a public financial collapse. It's possible that today I left at noon, exactly 12. I think it was a minute to 12, 11:59, almost 12, 11:59, let's say 12, maybe 58. Maybe it started now, it's gonna start maybe at 3 p.m. Public financial collapse, breaking news at CTV, CBC, Radio Canada, CNN, Fox. Public financial collapse in Canada, breaking news. Budget, got the declarations for the April, maybe first week of May, after the deadline for the taxes roll. How the financial system is set up, that's why we gotta get that reset. And we gotta implement my DRT theory, the debt refusion theory, the DRT theory, the DRT debt refusion theory. So the DRT theory, we're gonna have to be implementing it. We're gonna take all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt. So my 10,000, your 10,000, all the public and the private debt, right? My 10,000, your 10,000, my 10,000, your 10,000. Whatever you have as debt, I have $10,000 to the RBC. So all the public and the private debt, my 10,000, yours, coast to coast, no, we're gonna convert it into US dollars. Convert it into US dollars. So all the public private debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars. Gonna convert it into US dollars. Gonna convert it into US dollars. All the public and the private debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars. All the public and private debt, we're gonna convert it to US dollars. All the public and the private debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars. All the public private debt. All that debt, public and private debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars. We're gonna add it. Add it with the US dollars. Add it with the US public private debt, because the United States is in a similar financially precarious public and private situation, and both our public and private situations, Canada and the United States, closely resembles. And my theory is to be implemented simultaneously for Canada and the United States, and it requires a public-private partnership. It requires my Scorpio brothers of astrology stars, Scorpion, Bill Gates and Sagittariuses and Leos and Pisces and all the 12 Sagittarius and Leos and Pisces, Sagittarius, Leos and Virgos and all the signs. Hey, that's beautiful there, look at that. So all the debt, public and private, we're going to convert it to US dollars, either with the US. That money is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank. We're going to create the UE, U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The universal exchange unit. The universal exchange unit. The universal exchange unit. The UE, the UE, the UE. So the universal exchange is going to have the value of the US dollar, of the US dollar. The universal exchange is going to have the value of the universal exchange. That money is going to have the value of the US dollars. So that money is going to have the value of the US dollar. The UE, universal exchange unit. UE. The universal exchange unit. The universal exchange unit, the universal exchange. So all that money, we're going to set an interest rate level of 10%. 10% is going to be the interest rate level. 10% is going to be the interest rate. No more than 10%. The 10% is going to be the maximum. Maximum 10%. No more than that. It could be 9, it could be whatever, but 10% maximum. We're going to rebuild the infrastructure. Gonna build those 44 tunnels, and gonna build 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war, and gonna get it on the go. So now what we're gonna go do it, and so we're gonna go do it for the XYZ, and we're gonna do it on the love, and that's what we gotta get doing on that, you know. So gotta get doing on the love, you know, so it's gotta get doing, and we gotta get doing, you know, so So the DRT, debt refusion theory, DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the union. So all the debt, public and private, is going to be the initial money supply. Initial money supply. So that money is going to be fundamentally the public-private debt of both Canada and the United States. And with that money, we're going to create the UE, which is going to be based on the US dollar. We're going to set an interest rate level of 10%. It could be less, 7.7, 6.1, 1.56, 3.33, 6.1, 9.3, below 10. With that money, we're going to mass finance citizens' fitness, citizens to work out, citizens to train, citizens for the intra-North American collective across the 63 new 21st century states of the integrated Dragon Kingdom, Dancing Goddess and Dragon Kingdom, and we're going to convert the currencies, Canadian public-private debt, to US dollar. We're going to build the infrastructure, build the highways, rebuild the bridges, build more hydroelectric dams, and build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum on the Canadian-US border, to be 11 times bigger than the Harbor Ball, you know, Harbor Ball, and the Harbor Ball, where there's now Caesar Superdome, the Caesar Superdome, and that's what it is with that, where the Caesar Superdome was built. And I gotta say that I love those flowers there, yellow, man. That's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta go doing with that, you know. So something which we gotta get doing, you know. And that's what it is. That's what it is, and so we gotta get doing, you know. So the debt refusion theory, so we gotta get it on the do. So that's what it is with that. That's what we gotta get watching on that, and that's what we gotta get doing, you know. That's what we're gonna get on that, you know. So gotta get on that cat. So all the debt, public and private, that's what we're gonna get doing on that, you know. So we're gonna get doing on that. So we're gonna get all the public and the private debt. We're gonna take all the public and the private debt. That's money is gonna be the initial money supply. So with that money, we're gonna rebuild the infrastructure, mass finance citizens fitness, mass finance fitness activity, mass finance the building of the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, North American People's Imperial Coliseum, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. And so we gotta get doing on the go. So the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, and that's what we gotta get doing, you know. So gonna get that North American People's Imperial Coliseum built. So we're gonna build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum to be 11 times bigger than where the one of my favorite Super Bowls, known as the Harbor Ball, Blackout Ball, aka Harbor Ball, was played a few years ago, where my 49ers lost by 3, to be for sports in perpetuity. So it's gonna be a mega complex, 11 times bigger than the Caesar Superdome, where my 49ers lost against the Ravens in the Super Bowl. And we're going to build and finance citizens to work out, train, exercise, finance the building of the Hydro-Quebec, rebalance the hospitals, public and the private, and rebalance the hospitals, the public and the private, and rebalance, build the aqueducts, the sewers, the aqueducts, the sewers, and gonna build the aqueducts, the sewers, and that's what we're gonna build. The concrete, the sewers, the 44 tunnels, we're gonna build the 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war, inspired by the Cheyenne Mountain Complex and the Montreal Underground Village, and we're gonna stack them with food in case of a thermonuclear war. So we're gonna start building those 44, and of course implement the North American Collective, the North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act. We're going to implement the North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act. We're going to implement the North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act. The North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act. Put the incarcerated population to a little bit of that labor. And that's what we're going to get doing with that. And that's what we're going to get doing with that. And that's what we're going to get doing. Build 44 tunnels, rebuild the infrastructure, the aqueducts, the sewers, mass finance citizens to work out, mass finance the reconstruction, the building of more public works, and that's what we're gonna get doing, you know. So it's something which we gotta be as we are here on the island for the Dragonomy. We're gonna go check if a little bit of that water comes there, and that's what we're gonna get doing on that, and that's what we're gonna get doing on the love, you know. So that's what we gotta get on the side of things. Let's see. Oh yes, water, water, water. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And gonna hydrate and go in there and come back out, wash my hands, and gonna check it. Let's go. Thank you for those public workers who built this, and with the DRT creating of the U, you're gonna be able to rebuild and build more dams of Hydro-Quebec hydropower dams, which are clean, renewable, and electricity do not consume it. Oh yeah, so we gotta get doing it. Oh, it's still locked, that one. Maybe the other one? Oh, they're still locked. They're still locked. I kind of love this little place here. Kind of seems very cute. I'm just gonna go there and go by the sides and see. You can check a little bit of that bridge, and that's already gotta go get it on that bridge. And here we're gonna go get that DRT, that refusion theory, and we're gonna switch a little bit of that French, you know, a little bit of that French, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that, and that's what we're gonna get doing on the drill side, you know, and gonna get going on that love, you know. So grateful, thankful, rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee, and let's go for that. We're gonna go from the bridge here, we're gonna switch to French, and then we're gonna cadence a little bit. So grateful, thankful, rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee, support the DRT, that refusion theory for the creation of the UE. We're gonna get a little bit of that tambour here, see how it's gonna get it for the love, and who's on that love side of things here. And I think here is something where we can put on that meditation side, and then we can go down and go all the way on the side there. And wow, see, that's why I was saying that here's a big river. Big river. Look at that. Here it is. This is River St. Lawrence, St. Lawrence, St. Lawrence. So the whole river surrounds the island. So we're actually living on an island, eh? It's a big, big, big island, obviously, but it's really big. So the river goes like that, around about it, like a snake, snake coiled. From above, it looks like a bird. So here it is. This is the big river, St. Lawrence, and this is where we are, Montreal, Quebec, Canada. You can see downtown, and you can see actually parts of the Nuns Island, and you can see parts of the videos. In the video there, you can see a little bit of the mountain. I think that's Saint Hilaire or Saint Bruno. I'm not sure about the mountain, either or Saint Bruno or Saint Hilaire. Saint Bruno or Saint Hilaire. So that's the South Shore. Chateauguay is somewhere there. Chateauguay, that must be somewhere over there is Greenfield Park, Longueuil, Greenfield Park, St. Lambert, and Chateauguay. Chateauguay is a bit that way. So the Midwest, United States, will be there. Midwest, Illinois, Midwest will be there. So we're gonna go down and gonna switch a little bit to that French, and we're gonna explore some more, and then we're gonna come back. I wish I could paint this, you know. Put some paint, you know. Anyways, French because we're in la belle province, let's get ready. Pour le français maintenant, je vous encourage à l'entraînement physique québécois québécoise. On va aller descendre en bas ici, ou non, on va aller tout droit, puis on va descendre l'autre bord, puis on va monter par ici. On va revenir, puis on va monter par ici. Comme ça, je vais m'en souvenir du pont, là, mais en vous encourageant à faire l'entraînement physique québécois et québécoise, la gratitude, pas le début, c'est la gratitude, bien sûr pour le début, mais la gratitude pour l'entraînement physique que je vous encourage. J'ai payé mon loyer, j'ai payé ma facture d'électricité, puis je remercie concitoyen du collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, du Midwest des États-Unis, où il y a les 12 États, 90 millions d'habitants. Dans le Midwest, qu'est-ce qu'on appelle le Midwest des États-Unis, on avait écrit un beau petit message d'encouragement. Donc, je l'ai invité qu'il vienne chez nous, dans la belle province, à Montréal ou à Québec, parce que c'est bien sûr bien des touristes qu'on a besoin. Puis, imaginez-vous, hein, il vient, puis qu'il on apprend un peu le français, puis qu'il prend un échange culturel, puis qu'ils viennent explorer, ben pas juste la métropole de Montréal, donc il y a les gratte-ciel, puis bien plus. Les Canadiens de Montréal, ils ont perdu hier, mais c'est pas grave, on va gagner dans le 7e match, on va faire ça 3-3, on va gagner 2. Prochaine, ça va être 4. Après ça, on va perdre un, on va gagner un, puis l'autre, on va le gagner à la fin. Ça va être comme ça, 2-2, 1-1, puis un victoire, le 7e, c'est comme ça que je prévois ça. Bon, en vous encourageant à faire l'entraînement physique à Québécois et Québécoises, mon loyer est payé, ma facture d'électricité est payée, puis bien sûr, je vous encourage à faire l'entraînement physique. C'est quelque chose que, si vous voyez la rivière du Mont-Royal, bien sûr, ça entoure, bien sûr, de Montréal, la ville, la métropole, deuxième métropole la plus peuplée au Canada, puis dans le 7e, 8e, ou du collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, même quand ça inclut le Mexique. Puis je suis bien content. Car il y avait bien des nuages ce matin, puis là, ça a dégagé tout ça d'un coup. Fait qu'en me rentrant chez nous, je vais avoir du soleil. Le soleil va me faire le visage. Je vais avoir le soleil sur mon visage, le soleil sur mon visage. Fait que c'est quelque chose que je fais l'encouragement, bien sûr, que ça fait bien sûr de l'entraînement physique. Puis bien sûr, c'est quelque chose que ça fait que je réfléchis bien sûr de l'entraînement physique de cette manière. Puis c'est quelque chose que je dois faire moi-même aux alentours d'ici. Mais je vais pas trop tarder, je vais discuter un peu. Mais vous savez que j'ai l'Asperger, l'autisme moindrement fonctionnel. Puis c'est bien sûr quelque chose qu'il faut qu'on fait ensemble, bien sûr, dans l'entraînement. Puis je vous encourage de faire l'entraînement physique. C'est quelque chose que moi-même je fais. J'aimerais ça mettre de la peinture sur les bancs un peu. Je les trouve les bancs, ils méritent un peu de couleur, comme le bleu de même, ou rouge, ou quelque chose. Emmenez-moi les pinceaux, là. Les pinceaux, la paperasse, la bureaucratie, tout ça. La paperasse, les pinceaux, mais j'ai pas d'argent parce que je suis en crise financière. Je vis un stress financier. J'ai pas d'argent moi-même à financer l'embellissement, là, mais je peux faire du bénévolat. Mais du bleu ou du blanc, là, c'est quelque chose de beau pour l'avenir. Fait que, encore là, je dois discuter un peu de la géopolitique, car c'est ça que je suis, un analyste et théoricien en géopolitique, artiste, philosophe, athlète qui danse. Puis je vis avec une condition de neurodivergence qui s'appelle l'Asperger, l'autisme moindrement fonctionnel. Justement, tantôt, j'avais dirigé une concitoyenne que j'appelle ma tante. Je vais dire ma tante comme ça parce que je vous considère comme ma famille, les Québécois et Québécoises, puis tous ceux qui viennent nous rejoindre dans Montréal, dans la métropole, dans le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. Là. Mais bon, c'est sûr que j'ai bien des choses que moi je ne sais pas dans cette conscience de voir la rivière, là, mais elle ne savait pas c'est quoi l'Asperger, l'autisme moindrement fonctionnel. Fait que j'ai expliqué un peu que notre cerveau, des aspects, il est différent. Fait qu'on voit le monde d'une autre manière. Fait que notre cerveau, il est différent. Fait que notre cerveau, il est fait différemment. Fait que nous, comment on voit les choses, c'est différent de la majorité des gens, parce que je fais partie de cette minorité, là. C'est pas beaucoup, il n'y a pas beaucoup de monde dans le monde là, qui ont l'Asperger. C'est vraiment pas commun. Là. C'est moins d'1%, moins de la moitié d'un pourcentage. C'est 0,44%. 0,44%, c'est 0,44 là, de la population qui a l'Asperger, l'autisme moindrement fonctionnel. Fait que moi, je vois le monde d'une autre manière. Notre cerveau, il est différent. Fait que la manière qu'on communique, des fois, ça peut être « Hey, c'est du beau bleu qu'ils ont mis. » Je suis à 3, là, mais c'est quand même beau, je trouve, le bleu, là. Fait que la manière qu'on communique, là, comme bleu, comme ça, bleu, et je trouve ça beau, le bleu de même. C'est beau, quand même. Fait que la manière qu'on communique, ça peut être bizarre un peu, des fois un peu direct, comme, tu sais, on peut dire des vérités, des fois que le monde, il cache, là, puis on peut être honnête ou pas se rendre compte qu'on peut être vulnérable à cause de ça, comme, tu sais, elle m'avait demandé, j'étais marié, fait que j'ai dit, parce que moi, tu sais, je suis pansexuel, fait que ça serait un mariage différent, là, parce que j'aime les hommes, j'aime les femmes, tu sais, puis je me cache pas, je suis ouvert depuis bien des années, là, je vais à la parade gay, puis je me cherche des amis avec bénéfice, homme-femme, noir-blanc, homme-femme, noir-blanc, homme-femme, noir-blanc, arc-en-ciel. Votre dragon arc-en-ciel qui vous chante du rock-and-roll pour les travailleurs publics, pour les infirmières, le conducteur qui ramasse les poubelles dans les travailleurs publics, pour la flore, pour la faune. Puis la civilisation, ah ouais, regarde les canards, qu'est-ce que vous mangez? Les ensemble, le Québécois les bras dans les airs. Puis moi, ben, il y a la parade gay une fois par année, là, mais nous, on est pansexuels, puis on fait partie de la communauté LGBTQ 24 sur 24, comme l'Asperger, ça peut pas être transmis là, de personnes. Là, il n'y a pas de contagion de l'Asperger, c'est juste mon cerveau il est différent. Fait, je vois le monde d'une autre manière, mais j'ai mes forces, j'ai mes compétences, surtout quand ça vient à ce qu'on appelle les intérêts spéciaux. C'est aussi connu comme les intérêts obsessifs, mais je préfère utiliser le mot intérêts spéciaux, là, parce que en termes que c'est un intérêt spécial qui préoccupe nos journées, c'est 93%, moi, je dédie mes forces, mes énergies avec intensité, avec concentration, avec dédication, puis avec super intensité, puis avec super psychique, bien sûr. C'est des choses comme ça qui sont rendues bien, qui soient bien sûr dans l'envergure, que ça soit bien sûr dans ce comportement, que ça la fasse dans ces choses, d'avoir bien sûr de cette vie, puis de cette manière qu'on voit les choses nous-mêmes. C'est des choses pour voir, puis pour faire des choses, bien sûr, d'une autre manière. Mais bon, pour le dire, que je pense que quand même, c'est quelque chose d'intéressant si... Ouais, quelque chose d'intéressant comme art, où qu'on puisse s'asseoir, puis je trouve ça intéressant, là, comment c'est fait. Je trouve ça un peu de couleur, moi j'aime ça les couleurs vives, là, le bleu, l'orange, le jaune, mais bon. Fait que l'Asperger, c'est ça. C'est une condition de neurodivergence, puis j'ai mes forces moi-même. Fait que dans ces forces-là, bien sûr, c'est des choses que je dois vivre avec, comme je vis avec, bien sûr, l'Asperger, c'est comme je vis avec la crise financière, mais parce que je suis en crise financière, là, fait que c'est quelque chose que je dois quand même... Je suis ouvert pour avoir de l'emploi, j'ai même appliqué, je vais peut-être faire d'appel, bien sûr, je vais faire d'avoir de l'emploi, bien sûr, je vais faire d'avoir de l'emploi moi-même, mais j'ai eu bien de l'emploi durant la COVID, mais c'est les Asperger dans notre communauté, les Aspis, il y a le taux de chômage est vraiment élevé, puis c'est encore de la malcompréhension qui existe encore, que c'est quelque chose que les gens peuvent attraper. Non, c'est notre cerveau il est différent. Je fais partie de cette minorité de personnes d'1%, moins d'1%, moins de 0,5%, moins de 0,44%, là. Il n'y a pas beaucoup d'Asperger dans le monde. Il n'y en a pas beaucoup, là. Il n'y en a pas beaucoup. Bon, je vis avec ça, comme je vis avec les cicatrices que j'ai sur mon corps, la perte de mémoire, l'amnésie rétrograde, puis comme j'ai failli mourir durant la COVID, j'ai survécu la COVID, hein. Je marque que je célèbre 5 ans depuis que j'ai eu la COVID. Fait que là, je vais pas tarder, mais je vais rentrer dans l'explication de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Fait que je vais rentrer dans la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Encore une fois, gratitude, j'ai payé mon loyer, j'ai payé ma facture d'électricité, j'ai du café et du thé, puis bien sûr, je vous encourage à l'entraînement physique québécois et québécoise. Je vous encourage à l'entraînement physique québécois et québécoise, puis je trouve ça vraiment une bonne idée, qu'est-ce que vous avez fait ici. Je mettrai un peu de blanc, pas de blanc, plus de bleu comme ça, je veux dire, là, de bleu sur le blanc, puis le noir, je mettrai un peu plus de bleu, puis de rouge là-dessus. Mais je trouve ça vraiment beau, une bonne idée. Puis, ouais, le nord, sud, est, ouest que vous m'avez, puis le sud-ouest américain, c'est par là. Fait que je mettrais quelque chose de même, bien sûr. Et c'est, wow, juste un peu de couleur, mais je trouve ça beau. Bon, en tout cas, pour continuer de dire dans ce domaine, bien sûr, c'est l'Asperger, c'est ça, c'est une condition de neurodivergence. Ça fait que je vis avec. Fait qu'en vivant avec cette condition de neurodivergence, je dois quand même dire que j'ai des forces, les Aspergers. Des fois, on est direct, on peut dire les choses d'une manière directe, même si on peut se prononcer. Moi-même, je trouve que j'essaie d'être assez poli dans mes circonstances, mais des fois, tu sais, c'était du travail, ben du travail, puis ben du travail sur moi-même, puis je sais que des fois, je dis les choses plus directement, brusque, qui semble un peu offensif, mais pas parce que parce qu'on veut, les Aspergers, on ne veut pas être méchants, que ce soit, juste qu'il faut nous le dire directement, puis, tu sais, on a de la compassion, mais on montre par des actions, tu sais, on montre par des actions. on le montre par des actions. Fait qu'en le montrant par certaines actions, plus que des paroles, tu sais, c'est plus que des paroles qu'on les montre. Fait que qu'on les montre d'une manière, bien sûr, que ça fasse pour une action concrète, qu'on peut dire l'amour, tout ça, c'est par des actions, bien sûr, directes. Tu sais, c'est des actions directes pour le faire, tu sais. Fait que dans ces actions directes, c'est des choses qu'il faut qu'on fasse dans ces actions directes moi-même. Fait que c'est des choses comme ça avec lesquelles que je vis. Donc c'est des choses qu'il faut que je vis moi-même. Donc pour dire que je dois faire du travail, bien sûr, dans l'environnement que je vis avec les neurotypiques, c'est toujours une convergence de la neurodivergence et bien sûr de ma neurodivergence qui fait bien sûr que j'ai cette condition de neurodivergence avec laquelle je vis. Et bien sûr, c'est cette condition qui a fait que j'ai perdu beaucoup d'emplois. Et bien sûr, cette condition que je fais que je vis, bien sûr, avec cette situation de crise financière. Mais comme quelqu'un dit, mettons, l'autre fois, quelqu'un s'excuse, ben je dis, ben c'est pas votre faute. C'est pas votre faute, là, que j'ai... Tu sais, que j'ai l'Asperger's, tout ça, mais parce que nous, les Aspis, tu sais, on va pas dire on s'excuse ou des choses comme ça, mais on va faire des propositions, bien sûr, fait qu'on va faire des propositions pour trouver une solution, soit une solution, ou soit, bien sûr, trouver quelque chose de la solution, ou soit faire une action. Une action, mettons, vous dites, ben j'ai le mal au cou, ben je veux dire, c'était mon ami, puis des amis avec bénéfice seulement, je vais t'offrir, tu sais, je peux-tu vous faire un massage, ou je peux-tu te donner ça à manger, tu sais, par des actions, c'est ça le problème, pas le problème exactement, mais je veux dire, le parallèle, je me corrige, autocorrige, le parallèle de nous, cette minorité, parce qu'il n'y en a pas beaucoup, hein, c'est 0,44%, il n'y a pas beaucoup d'Asperger's, des Aspis comme moi, il n'y en a pas beaucoup. C'est rare, c'est une petite minorité des gens. Fait que je dois vivre avec ça. Bon. Fait que là, je vous l'explique d'une autre manière, que on a les caractéristiques qui se manifestent. Puis c'est pas une maladie mentale, c'est juste que des fois, on a tendance de s'approcher trop proche des gens quand on leur parle, par exemple, dans la conversation. Fait que cela peut être un peu bizarre, peut être un peu... Tu sais, ça peut intimider les gens, tu sais. Ça peut être intimidant, là. Ça peut dire, ben, qu'est-ce qui se passe, tu sais. Fait que c'est juste dans ce point de vue, là. Comme ça. Mais on en a force. Fait que là, pour dire que parallèlement, on en a force, notre force se trouve dans l'expertise et notre force se trouve dans qu'est-ce qu'on a comme intérêt spéciaux, aussi connu comme intérêt obsessif. Mais obsessif, c'est plus négatif. Puis des intérêts spéciaux chez les Asperger's, il faut qu'ils soient encouragés, il faut qu'il y ait de l'encouragement. Il faut qu'il y ait du soutien aussi parce qu'on a tendance à négliger, porter négligence à d'autres choses, par exemple du quotidien, peut-être, il faut, des choses peut-être du nettoyage, un peu plus de l'ordre dans les paperasses ou dans la bibliothèque chez nous, des choses comme ça, ou chez un Asperger's. C'est juste ça qu'il faut comprendre aussi bien fortement, que c'est cette manière d'être. Et bien sûr, et bien sûr, bon. Fait que pour commencer à parler de qu'est-ce que je connais, la politique, bien sûr, j'ai prévu la situation actuelle qui se déroule en ce moment. 4 minutes. Qui se déroule en ce moment d'une manière générale, là. C'est sûr que je sais pas tous les détails, mais que j'avais prévu. Mais c'est en général, j'avais prévu, bien sûr, cette situation de neurodivergence. Je trouve ça vraiment beau, comment que c'est fait. Mérite un peu de couleur, là. Mérite un peu de couleur, tu sais. Mérite un peu de couleur quand même. Bon. Pour dire, il faut prendre en considération que moi, je suis un analyste et théoricien en géopolitique. Un analyste et théoricien en géopolitique. Fait que j'ai prévu la situation actuelle depuis 2019, en octobre à novembre. D'une manière générale, là, parlant d'une façon générale, j'ai prévu la situation qui se déroule en ce moment, en 2019. C'est ça que je fais au quotidien. Des fois, je passe des heures et des heures à juste faire de l'analyse, tu sais, à juste faire de l'analyse, l'analyse 24 sur 24, de l'analyse en géopolitique, je parle. Fait. Mes protocoles, mes initiatives, bien sûr, mes protocoles, mes initiatives sont pour le collectif de civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord, sont pour le collectif de civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord, pour le collectif nord-américain, qu'est-ce que j'appelle pour le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. Fait que il faut mettre dans cet espace, dans ce paramètre que j'ai prévu la situation actuelle d'une manière généralement parlant. J'ai prévu la situation actuelle en 2019, en octobre 2019. Fait que j'avais prévu ça. J'avais prévu la situation qui se déroule en ce moment, encore une fois, d'une manière générale. Fait que là, je vais vous parler de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Théorie de la refusion de la dette, parce que c'est super important du travail. Puis dans ce travail, c'est quoi ça dit? 6e avenue. Fait que dans mon travail, c'est bien sûr super important que je discute de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Fait que la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette québécoise, c'est la seule unique solution qui peut nous sortir du problème des embarras qu'on est rendu aujourd'hui au point de vue financier, bien sûr, qu'on est rendu avec les finances publiques. On doit faire, puis je dois vous le dire que il faut faire l'implémentation de ma TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Pourquoi je me prononce ainsi? C'est car et dû au fait qu'aujourd'hui, l'année passée, je veux dire, on a payé 46,5 milliards d'intérêts sur la dette publique. 46,5 milliards là, d'intérêts sur la dette publique. 46,5 milliards d'intérêts sur la dette publique. Fait que vous imaginez qu'un milliard, c'est à 1000 millions, ça. 1 milliard, c'est 1000 millions. 1 milliard, c'est à 9 zéros, pas 8, pas 7. 1 million, c'est à 6. Fait que pensez-y un peu. Pensez-y juste un peu. Fait que là, en convergence de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, qu'en 2020, 2021, on a payé, bien sûr, 20,3 milliards. 20,3 milliards, 20,3 milliards. 20,3 fois 2, c'est 40,6. 40,6 milliards. 20,3 fois 2, c'est 40,6. Fait que c'est plus que double. Puis c'est sûr qu'à cause de la coronavirus, à cause du COVID, à cause de la COVID, on a dû faire l'implémentation des programmes, des situations dans le programme, bien sûr, pour avoir des programmes pour soutenir la population en crise, parce que sinon, bien sûr, il y avait bien plus de gens qui auraient perdu leur emploi, qui auraient perdu leur immobilier, qui auraient perdu leur maison, propriété, qui auraient perdu la place où ils habitent, l'habitation, tout ça, tu sais. Mais ça a plus que doublé, c'est ça le problème. Oui, puis le principe mathématique, c'est justement, en conséquence, comme un individu, là, que ses intérêts doublent. Mettons, ça saute de 156 à 333, parce que 156 double, c'est 312. Fait que 333, c'est double. 333, c'est double. 333, c'est double 156. Fait que c'est ça qui est arrivé avec la dette publique. L'intérêt qu'on paye, ça a plus que doublé. C'était rendu plus que le double. Plus que double. L'intérêt seulement. Puis c'était rendu plus que double. Fait qu'imaginez-vous qu'un citoyenne, que l'intérêt, ça double. Ça veut dire que si le salaire ne double pas, elle, lui, eux autres, il faut bien sûr qu'ils réduisent les dépenses. Il faut que ça arrête les dépenses. Faut que ça coupe la cigarette, faut que ça coupe, peut-être arrêter de fumer, arrêter de sortir dehors, arrêter de manger bien sûr des choses plus chères, arrêter bien sûr de ci, de ça, arrêter bien sûr de sortir dehors, arrêter les dépenses, puis se limiter à des activités bien sûr qui coûtent moins cher, couper un peu le Netflix, couper un peu ça, couper un peu dans les choses qu'on fait bien sûr. Fait que c'est des choses comme ça qu'il faut qu'on se prononce là-dessus. Fait que c'est des choses comme ça qu'il faut qu'on médite, parce que c'est la même chose du point de vue des finances publiques. Des finances publiques, c'est pareil. C'est le même principe. Qu'est-ce qu'on va couper? Parce que le produit intérieur brut, là, l'économie canadienne n'a pas doublé, là. C'est sûr, ça n'a pas doublé. Ça prend des années, des décennies pour que ça double une économie de même, comme le Canada, tu sais. Ça prend tellement de temps là, pour que notre économie double. Là. Fait qu'est-ce qu'on va couper dans les finances publiques? La sanitation, le ramassage des poubelles, du compostage. Qu'est-ce qu'on va couper? On va couper quoi? La police, la GRC, gendarmerie, ceux qui ramassent les poubelles, la sanitation, les hôpitaux, on va couper, bien sûr, l'armée nationale, la défense nationale, bien, il faut que ça coupe dans le budget. Qu'est-ce qu'on va couper? Parce que, dans d'autres mots, on est en crise. C'est possible, là, dès aujourd'hui, je suis parti à 11h59 de chez nous. C'est possible qu'après 3 p.m., 3 de l'après-midi, c'est possible qu'il y ait un effondrement financier. Public, financier, c'est une crise, c'est urgent. La TRD, c'est la solution, c'est un paradoxe. Ça sort que moi, j'ai l'Asperger's, l'autisme monde fonctionnel, mais je veux dire, c'est la solution. La TRD inclut la théorie de la refusion de la dette. Ma théorie, ça inclut en dedans d'elle la théorie d'intégration monétaire, ce qui est la théorie que les Européens ont fait l'implémentation. Donc, je vous l'explique. On va devoir prendre toute la dette publique-privée, incluant mon 10 000. J'ai 10 000 $ de dette à la Banque Royale. J'ai 10 000 $ de dette à la Banque Royale. Donc, j'ai ce 10 000 $ de dette. On va prendre ma dette, ta dette, sa dette, ma tienne, la mienne, la vôtre. On va prendre toute cette dette-là, bien sûr, ensemble. Bien sûr, on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, bien sûr. C'est des choses comme ça qu'il faut qu'on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée. Mon 10 000, ton 10 000, son 10 000. On va faire de côte à côte, de chien à chien, on va faire la conversion de toute la dette publique-privée. Toute la dette publique-privée, on va faire la conversion ensemble. Toute la dette publique-privée. Toute la dette publique-privée. On va faire ensemble. Fait que tout incluant mon 10 000. Salut! Un bon café? Ciao! On va prendre toute la dette publique-privée. Toute la dette publique-privée. Fait qu'on va prendre tout ensemble. La dette publique-privée, on va prendre tout ensemble. Fait que tout mon argent que j'ai en dette 10 000, on va prendre ensemble. Mon 10 000, ton 10 000. Et bien sûr, c'est... On va aller la prochaine fois, on va aller par là. Parce que là, le pont, mais je m'entends d'y aller jusqu'au pont. On va aller jusqu'au pont, puis on va retourner jusqu'au pont. D'après le pont, là, il faut voir les parcs de rapides. Ça faisait longtemps que je ne suis pas passé. Wow. Puis la COVID, je pense. Wow, ça fait un bout que je ne suis pas venu par ici. Plus que 5 ans. Yeah. Fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée. Mon 10 000, ton 10 000. On va ramasser, on va faire la conversion avec la devise des États-Unis. Fait que tout l'argent, toute la dette publique-privée va avoir... Peux-tu aller par là? Je pense pas. Oh, c'est un refuge d'oiseaux migrateurs ici. Un refuge d'oiseaux migrateurs. Ça faisait longtemps que je n'ai pas passé. C'est une belle place. Fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée. Mon 10 000, ton 10 000, son 10 000, votre 10 000. Toute la dette publique-privée. Toute la dette publique-privée. On va faire une refusion. On va faire la conversion de toute la dette publique-privée. Toute la dette publique-privée. Mon 10 000, ton 10 000, son 10 000. Conversion de côte à côte, on va ramasser, on va faire l'addition, on va faire la même chose avec les États-Unis parce que la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, il faut qu'on fasse l'implémentation de côte à côte, puis simultanément, la dette publique-privée, c'est la même parallèle des finances publiques. Parallèlement, c'est les mêmes finances publiques aux États-Unis. Les États-Unis, c'est la même chose. Fait qu'on va prendre, ramasser tout ça ensemble. Les États-Unis, c'est pareil, la même situation financière, publique-privée. Fait que tout cet argent-là, on va ramasser ensemble. On va faire l'addition, là. L'addition de tout cet argent-là ensemble. Cet argent-là, ça va fonder une nouvelle banque. Une nouvelle banque, comme qu'ils ont fait en Europe. Fait que toute la dette publique-privée va être convertie dans la devise des États-Unis. On va faire une refusion. Toute la dette publique-privée, bien sûr. on va ramasser ensemble, on va faire la création de l'unité d'échange universel. UI, U point unité, U point échange, U point universel. L'unité d'échange universel aura la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. Fait qu'on va mettre, après ça, on va mettre un taux d'intérêt de 10%. Fait que ça va être la nouvelle monnaie pour le collectif nord-américain, pour le Québec, le Canada, les États-Unis. Fait que toute cette dette-là, toute la dette publique-privée convertie dans la devise des États-Unis, on va faire ce partenariat public-privé, bien sûr. Donc, toute la dette publique-privée, on va faire cette conversion, on va faire le ramassage ensemble. Fait que toute la dette publique-privée aura la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. La valeur du dollar des États-Unis. Fait que toute la dette publique-privée, ensemble, cet argent-là aura la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. Toute la dette publique-privée. Fait que toute la dette publique-privée aura la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. Fait que tout cet argent-là, on va faire la création d'une nouvelle banque. Banque de la Collectif du Royaume, du Collectif nord-américain. Parce que mon rêve est fondamentalement un appel à un partenariat public-privé. On va faire la création de l'UI. U point unité, U point échange, U point universel. U point unité, U point échange, U point universel. Le UI. U point unité, U point échange, U point universel. L'unité d'échange universelle. Fait que tout cet argent-là aura la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. La création de l'unité d'échange universelle qu'on va faire ensemble. L'unité d'échange universelle. Avec cet argent-là, on va bien sûr rebâtir l'infrastructure. On va rebâtir l'infrastructure. Rebâtir l'infrastructure du collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. On va rebâtir le collectif nord-américain. Hey, c'est vite ça. On va rebâtir l'infrastructure, on va bâtir plus de centrales Hydro-Québec. On va bâtir plus de centrales Hydro-Québec, rebâtir l'infrastructure. On va faire bien du bien en commun, bien du bien en commun. Bien du bien en commun, puis on va faire des choses comme ça, puis on va rebâtir l'infrastructure, puis bien sûr pour l'environnement, mais avec lui, unité d'échange universel, on va faire la procuration, puis on va rebâtir l'infrastructure, on va faire bien des choses, et on va faire bien du nettoyage dans le public, puis on va faire bien sûr les bâtir des centrales de Québec, bâtir, c'est des beaux bancs, these are beautiful. C'est des bons bancs, I love it. Fait qu'on va rebâtir tout ça. Et c'est une bonne place ici, mais je vais me attarder de recommencer, on va aller un peu, puis on va retourner un peu. Fait qu'on pouvait aller par là, puis on va faire un peu d'entraînement physique la prochaine fois qu'on va venir, parce que là, on s'est aventuré pour la première fois dans bien des années ici. Fait que la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, toute la dette publique-privée, on va faire la refusion, puis ici, on va pouvoir venir. Fait qu'avec la TRD, on va faire la création de l'UI, U point unité, U point échange, U point universel. Fait que tout cet argent-là aura la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. On va rebâtir l'infrastructure, bâtir l'économie. On va faire la fondation de 2 institutions de partenariat public-privé, de l'Armée du Dragon, pour la sécurité, pour les services, pour la défense, pour la sécurité, pour les services, pour la défense, pour la SSD seulement. Pour la sécurité, pour les services, pour la défense seulement, puis pour rebâtir l'infrastructure, pour construire les 44 tunnels dans le cas d'une guerre thermonucléaire, pour rebâtir les 44 tunnels dans le cas d'une guerre thermonucléaire. On va rebâtir l'infrastructure du Québec, du Canada, de l'Amérique du Nord, du collectif nord-américain, parce que c'est un partenariat public-privé. On va faire finir avec la frontière, on va faire un passeport commun, on va finir avec la frontière, on va faire un passeport commun, on va faire une nouvelle monnaie, puis that's it, that's all avec ça, regardez ça. Look at that. Fait que la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, prêter allégeance, les gens, vous êtes famille. prêter allégeance, légion, vie de famille, and that's it, that's all. Puis la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, on va faire l'implémentation dessus, puis on va faire la création de cette nouvelle monnaie, puis on va financer les gens au tourisme, parce que ça fait du bien pour la santé mentale. On va financer l'armée de la déesse qui danse pour l'environnement, pour le nettoyage de l'environnement. L'armée de la déesse qui danse, l'armée de la déesse qui danse pour le partenariat public-privé, l'armée du dragon pour l'environnement, le plaisir, puis pour l'armée de la déesse qui danse. On va bâtir, construire le pont, bâtir, construire le temple de la déesse oubliée, puis on va bâtir le Colisée du peuple impérial sur la frontière du Canada et des États-Unis pour Sportis in Perpetuitis, pour le sport en perpétuité. Pour avoir du sport en perpétuité, pour avoir du sport en perpétuité. Fait qu'il va y avoir du sport 24 sur 24. Fait qu'on va avoir bien du sport qui va se faire. On va faire bâtir plus de ponts, de centrales Hydro-Québec, bâtir plus pour l'environnement. Puis ici, vous pouvez aller à la gauche, la droite, ou vous pouvez vous tourner pour vous voulez vous amuser par là. Mais c'est ça, on va faire la TRD, prêter allégeance légion pour les 63 pour l'Union des partenariats public-privé du Collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, l'armée du Dragon. Pour le Collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, on va faire bien sûr cette convergence qu'on va faire ensemble. Et bien sûr, on va faire la création de 2 institutions de partenariat public-privé, de PPP, l'armée du Dragon pour la sécurité, pour le service et la défense, SSD, sécurité, service, défense, intégré avec toutes les institutions qui existent par un partenariat public-privé. Puis il y a bien des places que vous pouvez venir vous amuser. Puis ici, vous pouvez venir. Puis il y a des échelles, vous pouvez bien sûr vous amuser ici. Fait que la TRD pour la création de l'unité de change universel, c'est la seule et unique théorie qui peut nous sortir de qu'on est rendu. Puis c'est ça pour les fichiers de la Chine. C'est ça qu'on vient à Montréal, puis prêter allégeance légion pour l'armée du dragon, pour les légions. On va faire un partenariat public-privé, on va faire un recensement du collectif. De côte à côte, on va enlever la frontière, puis on va s'unir avec les États-Unis, faire la protection du français. Mais c'est bien sûr des choses qu'il faut qu'on vive. Wow! Et c'est beau ça. Wow! Et bien sûr, dans ce point de vue qu'on est rendu maintenant, bien sûr, pour que ça soit bien sûr pour les ça. Des choses bien sûr qu'il faut qu'on vit, c'est des choses lesquelles qu'on vit dans ce système bien sûr de la géopolitique où qu'on vit aujourd'hui bien sûr. That's it, that's all. Let's go for the cadence. Des cadences, cadence, military cadence, property of the Dragon Army. Property of the Dragon Army, let's go for that cadence. Dragon Army property created freestyle mode. Rainbow Dragon, we in Montreal, Lachine Canal. In the sun, who dispersed the clouds earlier. Grateful, thankful, rent paid, electricity bill paid. On the steel toe boots, auctioning my shoes. Auctioning for $1 million, give half 50% to my anonymous friend. We're in the Lachine power station, you know, you got 50-50. French and English, learn some a little bit of that French, 1903. Just the year before it was donated. 1904, Revelations of the Book of the Law. Let's go. Sing that cadence on the stairs. Yeah, let's go Dragon Army. Property of the Dragon Army. Let's go for the left and right. For the butchers and the bakers. Cadence. Property of the Dragon Army. Freestyle Rainbow Dragon, aka greatest cuckold in the universe. Created them here in Montreal, starting from the Lachine Canal. Let's go. Left and right we go, the feet. I've been for the farmers. Marching for the farmers. Marching for the truckers. Marching for the train conductors. For the electricity plumbers. It ain't all about Wall Street. Get some charity, something to eat. We cannot be bought, we cannot be paid. We cannot be bought, we cannot be paid. We cannot be bought, we cannot be paid. Make love, don't wait until it's too late. Make love until it's not too late. If somebody wants to make love, Dragon dismisses, you're dismissed. Go make some loving. Somebody wants to make love, you're dismissed. Go make some loving. No wasting time, ICBM rockets. No wasting time, ICBM rockets. Gotta give it for the left. Gotta give it for the right. Gotta give it on the side. Gotta give it for the bite. Gotta give it for the Louis. For the Midwest. For the South and for the North and for the East and for the West. For the lovers, for the butchers, for the plumbers, electricians. Train conductors, gotta love them. Train conductors, gotta love them. Ain't no time to sit on benches. We ain't playing, we're in the trenches. We ain't playing, we're in the trenches. Gotta build construction workers. Up and down the cranes they go. Dragging on me on steel toes. Up and down the cranes they go. Dragging on me on steel toes. Up and down the cranes they go. Dragging on me on steel toes. Got a left and a right and purple. Kiss it, wash it, and some soap. Kissing, washing, and some soap. Kissing, washing, and some soap. Gotta give 'em into ropes. Gotta get 'em interlope. Gotta give him some ropes. Gotta give it left and right. For the seniors, for the seniors. Get the cadence dragging on me. Get the cadence dragging on me. Sing the cadence dragging on me. Sing the cadence dragging on me. Where there's bees, there's honey. Where there's bees, there's honey. Where there's bees, there's honey. Black and white, some of my dragons are black. White and black, some of my dragons are white. Black, white, some of my dragons are rainbow. Rainbow, some of my dragons are black, white. Left and right and left and side. Get me some push-ups. Give me for the bakers. For the bakers, for the butchers. For the plumbers, electricians. For the electricians, it ain't summer, it is spring. For another almost 45 days, I think. Almost 45 days, I think. 44 days and plus. Who counts? Count the sun. Sun rises and sun sets. Every sunset, that's the best. Every sunset, that's the best. Welcome to the rapids. Rapids in Lachine here. Rapids. That's why the rapids are named here. Rapids in Lachine, rapids. And you have a migratory bird, see? It's a migratory bird sanctuary. migratory bird sanctuary. So here migratory birds come. So you got a migratory bird sanctuary, but you got to catch them. Like this one, look. Well, you got to catch them, eh? Because they're migratory. Well, you know they're back, but there's a sanctuary here. It's a whole sanctuary, so it's kind of fun. If you're into that, I love birds, so snakes as well. Let's go with that. So we got to get doing on the go, you know. Left and right, or left and right. Left and right, and left and right. Got some soldiers on the site. Gotta give it left and right. And this has gotta be clean there. Look at that, that's so dirty there. Gotta clean, man. Gotta give it for the right. Gotta give it for the right. Gotta give it left and sight. North Americans, through North strong and free. Bless thee, home of the brave and the land of the free. Gotta add some L-O-V-N-E. And the land of the free and the home of the brave. Gotta add some L-O-V. And the land of the free and the home of the brave. Gotta add some L-O-V-E, L-O-V-E. In the land of the free and the home of the brave, plus thus true, north, strong and free, we gotta add some L-O-V and E, love. For the 63, 50 plus 13 is 63, not 51. Granddaddy Trump. 50 plus 13 is 63, not 51. 50 plus 63 is not 51, is 63. 50 plus 13, 63, not 51. Rainbow Dragon, count the ones. Pledge your legions, that's the family of the dragons. Some of my dragons are black, some of my dragons are white. None of my dragons are born a dragon. None of my dragons are born a dragon. None of my dragons are born a dragon. Blood, sweat, and tears to change that A into an O. Who am I, you answer? Greatest cuckold in the universe. Who am I, you answer? Greatest cuckold in the universe. Who am I, you answer? Greatest cuckold in the universe. Where there's a light, there is a shadow. Where there's a light, there is a shadow. Where there's a light, there is a shadow. Got some hope for tomorrow. I got some hope for tomorrow. Gotta march left and right. That's the east and west in sight. Now we're going east now, going east. We went west, we went south. Now we're going back east and north. Because now we're west, we're on the west side of Montreal Hakanen. Let's go, cadence, property of the Dragon Army, freestyle mode. In the wilderness, Dragon Army, we're the best. And we in the streets, Our twins are the police. In the wilderness, dragon army, we're the best. In the cities, in the streets, our twins are the police. In the wilderness, dragon army, we're the best. In the streets with our twins, the police. Dragon Army SSD. SSD, security, service and defense. And that's the principle we rock it. SSD, security, service and defense. That's the principle we rock it. SSD, security, service and defense. That's the principle we rock it. SSD, security, service and defense. That's the principle we rock it. Hey, no need to repeat. Just got a cadence, Dragon Army beat. In the wilderness, we are free. Roaming big cities, we are free. The free, the brave, the strong and loving. The free, the brave, the strong and loving. The free, the brave, the strong and loving. Dragon Army, that's a step. For the plumbers, for the butchers, for the bakers, the nurses. That's we marching on that cadence. Electricians, plumbers, bakers. Electricians, plumbers, bakers. Gotta given me some lesson. Gotta given me some lesson. And you hear the birds chirp. Marching steps ready to work. Marching steps ready to work. In the nature sing aloud. That's the wind and that's the sound. Got a hut. Maybe a dragon got a hut. Maybe a dragon got a hut. Maybe a dragon. Reminds me of a past life when I was a man and woman and how I built just huts like this. This one seems to be better than the one I built from past life memory, but good job, good job. You used the tree and Dragon Army inspecting, good job. Gotta teach me, gotta teach me. Gotta teach me. See, I'm learning. You gotta teach this rainbow dragon how to build a hut like this. You gotta teach this rainbow dragon how to build a hut like this. Gotta teach me. You gotta teach me. I got learning every day. Gotta admit, bravo, bravo, bravo. Worthy to credit you to build one for me like this. Next to yours, 5 hours of massage therapy session. Offer expires in 5 years. Offer expires in 5 years. Offer expires in 5 years. And I think here we're gonna have to start going up again. Going down, let's see. Hoppa. Oh, there's a little bit of danger zone. In the danger zone. Dragon Army in the wilderness, we got some danger zones. Gotta give it with some stress. We don't mind cause we're the best. We don't mind cause we're the best. We don't mind cause we're the best. Left and right and step success. Gotta go another round. Principle that level sound. Principal and level sounds. Got a bacon, got a frown. And another hot. On 3. This one I gotta order to do some cleaning here, please. I'm gonna come back and second time, and if it's not cleaned, I do some cleaning. But the third time, I do some cleaning. But I gotta say, bravo. You also teach me, because I see that as being quite a good building. How they use the terrain. The use of the terrain analysis, geopolitics, military affairs are part of the geopolitical studies and complex. But nonetheless, you see here that is a great use of the great use. It's a great use, I gotta say. Not bad. So credit you also. Build one for me, credit you. If you build one like this I'm gonna credit you only 4 hours and a half. Not 5 like the other one. 4 hours and a half of massage, and offer expires still in 5 years. Good job. But you gotta be clean. Keep it clean and recycle those, because we got flora, fauna, you know. You can fish, I guess. Fishes are almost over there, but there's small fish here. So in theory, you can small fish and fry the fish. I get fish fry because they're still edible. Last time I still but part edible, I guess. But you gotta get it on the do, you know. So if you do it, of course I don't recommend it, but I'm just saying that in theory it's survival possibilities, you know. Survival. So this could be an entrance for a tunnel. One of those 44. This could be an entrance for one of those 44 tunnels, which we're gonna build across the North American Collective. And all those, you have to be living here for the past 5 years. There's an echo. 5 years in the past since COVID, or 7 years, in order to be eligible to build the 44, have the honor and privilege to build the 44, construct, build the 44 tunnels of the North American Collective for the Kingdom, Dancing Goddess, and Dragon Kingdom. Pledge your allegiance, thou our family. Pledge your allegiance, thou our family. Pledge your allegiance, thou our family. Cadence, 24/7. Butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, and I think that's where it kind of ends, because there, can I go on the other side if I go down now, or if I go roundabout? Let's see. Go up and down again, go straight side, and there we go. I guess here it goes down, and there you can't, but you gotta go on that cadence. Oh yeah, here is steep. So it is very steep, so I would have to slide. So I have to put my ass down and just slide, because see there? Actually, I could have passed there by the side. I don't know, this I can pass by the water, but there was an impediment there. But in theory I can go. Let's go. Army cadence, let's go. Next time, well, whatever. I guess I can still go down, because there's still, it goes all the way, right? So whatever the case may be. Let's go. I guess you can, but it kind of goes a little bit on the blurred side, and it kind of ends a bit there, you know. Let's go. Dragon Army cadence, we continue. By the river. By the river, by the river. Marching left and right. By the river, by the river, by the river, by the river. In the sun and in the moonlight. And in the moonlight, gotta be ready to see. Hyper bees. Oh, there's a way to go down. But this is also steep, so this would also require bending the knees a lot, because it's very steep, so it just goes down steep. But there, you see, you have the, so I'm gonna have to go on my ass if I go. Next time. I don't want to, but gotta get back home because I'm getting a bit hungry. Although I got some bread, I guess. Oh yes, at the beginning I got bread. So I can in theory have a little bit. And that's the sentence. Let's go. Let's go, ready to rock. Let's go do the hawk. Do the hawk, do the H-A-W-K. Now this one we can definitely do easier than the previous one. So we're gonna go all the way to the bridge. But this one also I have to bend the knees here, see? Also I have to bend the knees. Bend the knees when you go down the slope. Hey, if you need, gotta use smart, order that rope. If you gonna need, gotta do some of that smarts, some of that rope. Gotta left or right and sight. Gotta give it for today. Gotta give it for the bay and the river. Hey, merci. Thank you, merci. I appreciate you putting the leash. I like them from afar, it's just that poodles I can pet, but them they give me kind of allergies.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If I get close to my nose, si ça approche de mon nez, genre je commence à éternuer.
Ben oui.
Sauf les poodles.
Oui.
Et comme ça, je les aime de loin là.
Oui.
J'apprécie que tu aies mis
La laisse.
Je pensais en anglais en ce moment, fait que j'étais the leash, c'est quoi le mot en train de traduire là? Hey, have a nice one.
You too.
Bye bye. Anyway, so that would appreciate it. Gotta get it for the doom. Gotta get it, I see you. For the love and for the lose. Gotta give it for the blues. Gotta give it, gotta do. Gotta give it, I see you. On the left, on the blues. Gotta give it for the you. Gotta see, ready to do. Gotta see. My cousin there with the dogs, and sometimes I get allergies, you know. That's why I appreciate my fellow cousin putting them in the leash, you know, because it's in the public. So, you know, we balance, eh? Public, private responsibilities, and, you know, I'm already weird like I am. Oh, that's so beautiful. C'est vraiment beau, ça, je trouve. That's so beautiful, the nature. 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 Just nature sometimes. Just gotta get it on the dude, man. Look at that red. Red, you know what I said. Red. Red, you know what I said. Yeah. Red, you know what I said. Rouge. Red, you know what I said. Red, you know what I said. Red, you know what I said. Left and right up in the lead in the rocks. Tick and talk, we're on the clock. In the wild by the river. For the Midwest and the 50 states. Plus 13, that's 63. 63. Look at the nature, what a beauty. Look at the nature, what a beauty. I can see, can you see? Look at the nature, what a beauty. Look at the nature, what a beauty. Gotta see and gotta do. Gotta be for me, for you. Gotta be for me, for you. Gotta see for me, for you. Gotta left and right and left. Gotta left and right and left. Gotta go up in the best. Left and right and that's a sentence. Left and right and that's a paragraph. Left and right and you got a novel. Novel for the dragons. Dragons, oh my dragons. Some of my dragons are black. Some of my dragons are white. None of my dragons are born a dragon. Some of my dragons are black. Some of my dragons are white. Some of my dragons are black-white. Some of my dragons are white-black. Some of my dragons are rainbow. Some of my dragons are black. Some of my dragons are white. Some of my dragons are black-white. Some of my dragons are white-black. Some of my dragons are rainbow. Some of my dragons are black-white. Yeah, man. Some of my dragons are rainbow. Some of my dragons are black-white. Some of my dragons are rainbow. Hey, we gotta kiss and gotta hug. We gotta hug and gotta kiss. Gotta bliss, gotta best, gotta sing for the rock and roll. That's the pain that I bring for the nature. For the nature that's alive. For the nature that's alive. For the nature that's alive. Let's go. Let's go to the left. Let's go to the right. Let's go to the paradise. Some of my dragons are white. Some of my dragons are black. Some of my dragons are black-white. Some of my dragons are rainbow. Some of my dragons are some more water than fire. Some of my dragons are dragonesses with a double S. Some of my dragons are dragonesses with a double S. Some of my dragons are dragonesses with a double S. Some of my dragons are dragonesses with a double S. Some of my dragons are dragonesses with a double S. And this is the river that surrounds the island of the Hawk. The island of the Hawk. The island of the Hawk. This is the river. Some of my dragons are black-white. All of my dragons be SSD. Standing for security, service, and defense. Played that defense coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Internal SS, security service. External DDD. Or internal, because we got to play it now because we got espionage, sabotage potential, and we got the non-North American complex, collective, aligned underworld groups, criminal groups, and other groups and organizations which are going to be aligned with political regimes which want to harm us and are more than close to 400 million, 400 million. 44 in the 13 through North Strong and Free had some loving, and in the 50 when we add up, if we add Mexico, if they join, we're going to get that Canada and United States together, so gonna get that done. And some of my dragons are dragonesses with 2 S's. Some of my dragons are dragonesses for the truckers on the road, daycare workers changing diapers, bakers, butchers, electricians, and the plumbers, construction workers on steel toes. Gotta get it bacon toes up. Bake some pies and bake some apples. Bake some pies and bake some bacon. Where there's a light, there's a shadow. Bake some pies and bake some bacon. Where there's a light, there's a shadow. Bake some pies and bake some bacon. Where there's a light, there's a shadow. Get some push-ups on the drill. Rainbow dragon, that's a kill. Black and white, we all be dragons now. And dragonesses. Gotta sing it March, and also for the homosexuals. Say I love homosexuals. If you don't love them too much, you gotta say, I'm gonna get that SSD for homosexuals, lesbian, pansexuals, and blacks, and all of it for the Dragon Army. Ensure freedom. Freedom ain't it's new under the sun. King Solomon is new. Freedom is new. We gotta ensure secure and get that DDD defense coast to coast and rebuild in North America and in the urban city. We're gonna rebuild the ghettos of North America. Carry us together. We're gonna rebuild the ghettos. Dragon Army gonna rebuild the ghettos. Invest billions, and parallel we're gonna build those 44 together and get that North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act for the Dragon Army. Serve to build those 44, or serve for SSD, security service and defense in the army. All surveillance, total integration, digital, and do the new pass and build Gates, rock and roll.